Three, two, oh, we're live. All right. Hello. Hi. Thank you for coming by. This is Tori Christman, aka Tori Magoo 44 on YouTube and TikTok. And my guest tonight is Dylan Gill, who is over on this side. And both of us were in Scientology. He was born in Scientology. I was in it for 30 years, which I know for a lot of people sounds like a really long time because I've talked to a lot of the younger TikTok people and they're like, good grief, how could someone be in something for 30 years? And I try to remind them there was no internet when we were in the Scientology for many, many years, not until really around end of 90s, 2000. And even then it was iffy. So, because they had the net nanny on there and stuff like that. So anyway, hi, Dylan. Welcome.
Net nanny. I remember the net nanny.
Yeah, I do too.
Here's like a disc in the mail, or you get it handed out at the local org, and then they're like, install this in your computer. You're like, what?
Now, what happened to you how old were you when you heard about the net nanny?
When did that come out? It was like dial up, right?
What was it?
Was it dial? Maybe I knew about it in turn. Now I'm like second guessing. Because I was in way before it would have been there any internet. But there was like AOL. When did AOL come out?
Yeah, it was AOL.
Yeah. I don't even remember when AOL came out. That's a long time ago.
Hi, AGT Mom, and hi, Kelly. Kelly's our moderator tonight, and thank you for being on. And one love. All right. So we got a few people coming on. Hey, there's AOL. JB808. He does my thumbnails for me, Dylan.
Oh, great. There you go.
Yeah, he's really very helpful also, as well as Kelly. And does it matter to you, not to me? Hello. Off, I better remember this one. Okay, I better remember this one. He said you and I are two of his favorites, so he's got to remember to come back. I know he's eating dinner, so. Anyway, you were about how old do you think when well, let's explain the net nanny in case anybody doesn't know. Do you want to tell what it is?
Go ahead. It's your show. I was a kid.
Well, I was at an event and they came out and they said, look, the internet is booming and we are way behind, we Scientologists. So we need to get up to speed. We've got computers around the Shrine Auditorium. Everyone needs to go sit at a computer and write up your story, and then we'll tell you the rest. So we're sitting at the computer, typing up our story, and then they come on and tap in little hyperlinks, which we didn't know what hyperlinks were, at least most of the people I was with. We knew nothing about the internet. We knew nothing about hyperlinks. And they were all Narconon, Criminon, Way to Happiness, all Scientology's front groups were their hyperlinks. So then they print out a little disc and they say, this is for you. Go home and put it on your computer. And I'm like, Yachty was my auditor and helping OSA.
He's
and,
like, don't do that.
What?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So he said, I said to him, why would I put it on my computer? I just bought it. And he said, well, he came over to my house and he said, look, I'm your auditor. I'm going to explain it to you. There's things on the internet that will hurt you and slow your progress to eternity. Because they were always promoting you could get free and go clear and be OT and, with your doing the right things. So he said, this is a thing that'll really snarl you up. These are people on the internet. They really don't know about Scientology. They're posting a lot of lies about Scientology and you don't need to see them. So this is a thing that will basically block out all the lies and then you will just see the truth, which is Scientology. And to me, because I believed him, he was my auditor.
Right.
And I thought, okay, so I put it on my computer, not knowing it basically blocked any facts about Scientology that they didn't want seen. That was the intention of it. And I said to the lady, why would I put it on my computer? And she said, Tori, look at your story. You have a great story. People are going to want to talk to you. No one ever contacted me. because they never had it where it was on the internet. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I mean, I don't know how they had it, but they didn't. Nobody ever contacted me about my story.
What year was that?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was either late 80s or early 90s.
Yeah. Hmm.
It might have been in the 90s. I'm bad on timing. Somebody will come on that knows the net nanny, and
Right.
they'll know when it was. But I'm bad on timing too, on dates and stuff like that.
Right,
But
right, right.
it was either late 80s, early 90s. And I can't remember if I was on OT7 or OT5, but I was up there. You know, it was
Right,
all top
right.
secret.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's
So
see,
then I know it peripherally
yeah,
after the fact. I knew it in the Sea Org, but it was through Incom because
right.
they're
I
the ones
remember
that
Encom.
spread it. That was right pretty much in front of where you sit is where
Right. I always
Incom was.
pointed out. I always
Yeah,
pointed
yeah.
out because it was for anyone listening, Encom was their computer org, which you can tell more about. But I knew as a public it was top secret. We couldn't know anything about it. Yachty would go like this. This is Encom right here. You know, and nobody
Right.
even knew that's where it was.
You
You know,
know who was
except
you know who was in charge of Incom?
who?
Sterling's dad, Foster. Foster
Sterling?
Tompkins. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Foster Tompkins was? Wow.
Yep, yep. Foster was in charge of it forever. And another guy, trying to
Oh,
remember his name, but
I
he
knew
kept
that.
getting pulled off. Yeah, he kept getting pulled off and but Foster was the main spearhead of that's like when Lyman started CST and all that in like 82, I want to say. And part of the shore story for Incom was that um it had they were going to archive or not archive, but put everything onto microfiche and discs and everything so that it could just be in like kind of like what the internet is now. It could be indexed and gotten at SIR, right? Source
Right.
information retrieval. So that would be you could look up SIR anytime you wanted, and it would give you the HCOBs, the HCOPLs, the EDs, the AOs, the FOs, the SOs, like everything.
But let me ask you this, because I was told that's what it was, but it was for the Sea Org. It wasn't for public. Is
Oh,
that true or not?
it it they didn't it wasn't differentiated, but it was for us for sure. So maybe it wasn't for you.
No, I don't
But
think it was for the public. They didn't want the public to
no, I
be
think it
on the
was for
internet at
staff.
all.
I think it was for org. Like I think it was class at that time, class 4 org and above, but then it switched to class 5 org after the whole mission holders
Yeah, it did all
upheaval
of
and
that.
all that. Like there's a bunch of,
Yeah.
and that was during the whole reorg Church of Scientology California, before CSI and all that kind of stuff. So,
Oh yeah. What year did CSI start?
same time, right around the same time, right about the corporate reorg. That's like it's about the same time that DM went from EDASI to special unit.
And tell them what CSI is, because some people might not know.
Oh, Church of Scientology International.
Okay. And what was the top thing? I forget what it's called, where they had the titanium disc that you worked at.
Oh, that was the Church of Spiritual Technology.
Okay. And what was the difference in those two?
Um, well, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, just in a nutshell, what was that? So a lot of these people know, but a lot of them don't.
Okay, so in a nutshell, before Larry Wollersheim, Scientology, when they incorporated as the Church of Scientology in California.
Right.
And when he sued them, a loophole among others was exposed. And so part of the handling program was what they called like an umbrella program that was done. And
Right.
a bunch of corporate reorg and corporate restructuring missions were done at the same time. So, but there was a lot of stuff happening concurrently. It wasn't like this orchestrated. I mean, LRH was dying at the time. There was a whole power struggle for months.
Yeah.
And it was weird. Like that's when it was really good to be at Flag and not at PAC, because
Yeah.
most of the weird crap was happening at Int and PAC, and we
Yeah.
were pretty much removed from it at Flag. So we kind of like, even the death event was like, we all went to the auditorium, watched it, and then went back on post. Like it really wasn't. I mean, it was, there was a lot of grief and stuff like that because your guy died, So
I didn't give a shit because I lost my son that night.
oh
And
well, yeah. See, that's
I mean,
that,
he didn't pass away. I just couldn't find him, and
oh
it really scared me. And so I went, because I went up to Delphi to get him, because they said there's a mandatory event. So I went to get him. They were all gone. So I went down to the complex. They were all gone, and he always had Sea Org friends, kids that were in the Sea Org.
right. Yeah,
So
everybody there, they always were around the
yeah,
like they'd be at somebody's house or they'd be
yeah,
hanging out. Right,
yeah,
right, right.
yeah. They come over.
Tommy's,
So
go by
right,
Tommy's maybe. See if they're there. Right,
exactly.
right,
So okay, he's not at the complex. So I went to the Palladium, and it was like hundreds and hundreds of people were there. So I
right,
just did this, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, got up to the front guy, and I said, look, I lost my son. I've got to find him. And he goes, well, he's not here. And
right.
so then I got 5 people to be at every exit. And so that's all I cared about through the whole event was, could they find my son? And so
It
we
was a
waited.
Scientology event?
This was Hubbard being announced
Oh,
he's
yeah,
dead.
yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if you were
Yeah,
at another event.
this
Uh,
was the event that you saw the video of. This was
right.
I was at the event.
You did that
And
at the death event? Have you ever told this story?
I think I have, but not much.
Oh, that's crazy, Tori. I bet you
Yeah.
were a
So
force in the Sea Org or in Scientology.
you bet what?
I bet you were a force
Oh
in
God, yeah.
Scientology. I bet people were
Oh,
just like, "Holy shit, just
oh
do
yeah.
it, just do it." She's not gonna
Oh
stop.
yeah. I was like, get the fuck out of the way. I gotta find my son. So I got
Right,
5 people. We were at 5 exits. The event goes through. He's announced dead. I don't know. Who were the Pat and Annie Broker. I knew most CEO guys. I'd never heard of
right,
them. So I thought this is bullshit. Then Miscavige comes out, and I think, okay, who the fuck is this guy? I know this guy. He's from Author Services. And so for me, I was like right away, this is bullshit. And I said it to Yachty, and he goes, just shut up. I'll explain it to you later. So
right. Huh.
anyway, they were at each door. Everybody left. My son wasn't there. So now I'm really getting nervous as a parent. So I go up to Celebrity Center because they said they were showing a video there. So we got the 5 people, went up to Celebrity Center, went all through it, came down. They said he's not here. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to call the police. And I thought, I'm just going to go back into the complex and check. I know my son. And sure enough, there he is hanging out in front of that front tree in front of AOLA, hanging out by his arms upside down, just having a good old time. I said, what the hell are you doing? And he said, I went to see somebody up in the Sea Org berthing, and I was hanging
Right.
out with them. And when I came down, the bus was gone. So I didn't know what to do. So I just stayed here. So that was
I
my
know I mean, it's before cell phones. It was like a whole different world, a little bit.
whole different world.
Like
Whole
it's.
different world. And it's
I mean,
very
it one
scary.
nowadays it'd be like, "Oh my God, you were an absent mother. What happened? How could you do that?" Like, because the shrine isn't really close to the complex, right?
No, no.
Right. So just jumping on
No,
a
but it
bus.
wasn't at the shrine. It was at the pavilion
Oh,
or the
yeah, that's right.
palladium.
The Palladium. That's right. Still not
Yeah,
that super close.
not
Enough.
close.
Yeah, they're still busing people back and forth.
That's why I was freaked out. So I went
Right.
there, and then I went up to CC, and then I went back to the complex, and there he was. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
thank God.
I
Because
guess
the
that.
next thing would have been called the police.
Right.
And I
And that.
would have. I don't care about their don't call the police. I would have called them.
Right. Right. That's interesting. I can see that from both sides. That's my parents did that a lot too. Like, where are you? After like I went places. Um, but now it's harder. I mean, like it's interesting. You can track your kids on their phones. I don't do it. They told me about it. They're like, you can find my location. I'm like, oh God, why would I? That's terrible. Just tell me where you're at. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to be like, wait a minute, where'd you go? 1 block to the left. It's like, that's
That
weird.
would have been awful for me as a kid. Awful.
Right, right. I don't know. I guess that was a strange event for sure. That was definitely
It
a
was a
weird.
very strange thing. And before or after that, you worked at IT.
What do you mean? IT?
Like before Hubbard passing away, were you at IT or after Hubbard passed away? Didn't you say you worked at IT? Or you were
Um,
just saying that's where it was?
no. Oh, at Incom?
Income.
Yeah, no. I didn't work at Incom. When I was in the Sea Org, it's weird because it's like I don't I wanted to for a long time, and then when it was time, I didn't want to as much, but it
Right,
was kind of a foregone conclusion that I was going to do that.
right,
So, and my dad was a teacher at Delphi, so he didn't really have like it was like, okay, go to the Sea Org now. I'm going to teach at Delphi. So,
right.
um, it was weird. I had some reservations when I got sent, but I got sent from the from California to Florida. So I started my Sea Org career in Florida, and I did my
Oh.
EPF there, um, and then worked there for a number of years before I got sent other places.
And do you remember what year you started in Florida? Because I might have been there then.
Yeah, we talked about this a few times.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I know,
Um,
you know me. I mean,
um, it was like
that's
84.
yeah. I was probably there.
Yeah,
I
you were.
was
We like were close in because I went through the EPF and then I was a missionary. And I was a missionary for the CMO for a while, and then I got posted once my messenger status thing, CSW, complete like application, I guess, got set up and got approved. I then was posted in the actual Commodore's messenger org, and then I
gotcha.
worked at Flag for a good couple for 4 years. So,
And I sec checked the CMO there.
oh, I know, Tori. I
Oh,
know.
did I sec check you?
I don't think you did. I'm
You would have
pretty sure you
remembered.
didn't. Yeah, I would have remembered.
You would have remembered. I mean, I had a funny thing with the. Did I tell you my funny thing with the sec checking the CMO?
Yeah, has everybody heard this one?
I don't know. Should I
If
tell it?
if they
Maybe
if nobody's heard it,
I'll
you
tell
should
you
tell it.
private.
No, tell me.
Huh?
I think I've heard it. You've told me a few times.
Anyway, it was
It's
just
a pretty good story.
the boy. They were mostly younger men at the time,
Right.
like teenagers, and they were all masturbating and having a good time, and having you know what do you call them, spitball fights and all kinds of stuff, just goofing around. And then we'd get in session and they'd be very serious. And it took forever to get them to say that, to the point where I finally went up to Qual and I said, look, what the hell's going on here? You check, do they have enough sleep? You check, do they have they had enough to eat? Why don't you just check, did they masturbate last night? And then they did or they didn't, and then good, start of session.
Is that like
Because it's
is
not
that
an
extended
overt.
rudes? Is that what
Yeah,
that is? It's like
it's not an overt. It's a thing people do, so it's sort of like spending an
in Scientology and the Sea Org, it is like they
you can
yeah,
tell me they
I
don't,
was
but I
in
can tell you sec checking them, everybody did. They were on top of each other. There were four people stacked on top of each other, all doing the same thing.
no, I know. I was over HCO. So we had to do all the ethics handlings from your stupid sessions, Tori.
Hey,
So
I-
yeah, we had to find all the references and be like,
but at
this is
least
why it's bad.
I
Okay.
tried to get it to where it was changed. Did you ever go to ask them to change it?
Are you kidding? What? You don't red on white? You
That's what
don't
I'm
tech
saying.
you don't change HCOBs. Like
I know, but I did.
that's
I
well,
did for medicine. I got the entire flag land base crammed on medicine. because
I
I thought
remember, I do
it's
remember that
fucking
story.
up.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just like, that's fucking it. No.
Well, crams are easy. I mean, it's, you know, well, I don't want to get in the weeds on stupid
No reason.
cramming. Yeah.
All right.
I
Well,
sat
there's
out
a
in front of the
question for
CS
you.
office way too many times for a long.
Yeah. Okay. Quick question. Hey, Dylan, do you still have your BlowDrill account? Wasn't able to search it.
No, I do not.
Okay. So do you want to say anything about that? And you're fine to say whatever you want,
Don't want to say anything about what? The question?
but not having your account anymore.
I
You
don't.
don't have to. If you want to, you can.
Yeah, no, I just don't have it anymore.
Okay. All right. So for now, it's gone. There you go. And here's Dylan. He's here. So that's all that matters. Tori, did you ever meet Nan McLean from Toronto? I am really bad with names. I probably did. It sounds familiar, but what would be the significance of it? Did Nan McLean know Dylan, or what's up? All
Unless
right,
she
and
was
but
in
more.
like Pasadena Mission at one point. That name
Oh,
doesn't sound very familiar, but maybe.
before this is from Professor Kakan. Comment: before Lyman Spurlock joined the Sea Org, he was a great guy. That could
He
probably
wasn't
be more than one
that
person.
bad. He was one of, there was a few people in the Sea Org that you could tell were probably pretty cool people before they joined.
Yeah,
For sure. There was definitely a few. And
I
there's a few
was.
people that you could tell that weren't super cool before they
Yeah,
joined, and they were way worse.
yeah. It's kind of gave them an avenue to be the jerks they were.
Right, on all levels, not just like on all levels.
No, I
It's
know.
interesting to see, yeah.
I always thought that though. I really did. You see somebody who was really creepy, and you think this isn't from Scientology. This is this person. It
Yeah,
might have
no,
gotten worse.
I did a bunch of, I can only speak for Flag, but I did from most of the 80s. I'm sorry, but I was the person that um qualified and got people up to int because it was over my department. So usually I ended up doing those missions. And
And you're sorry because of what?
for putting those people up at int, because a
Oh,
lot of
was
them
it
got
bad?
washed out, ended up in gold, are probably still in the States, or ended up in the RPF at PAC. So,
Oh yeah,
but with that said, it was eye opening to see like for a 15-year-old at the time, 16-year-old boy, to go
sure.
through people's personnel, ethics, and pre-clear folders and
Right.
put like a together a whole personnel history and send it up lines as like, this is okay. I'm a like, that's, yeah, it was weird to see some of the auditing and security check questions and like past history
I
and
know.
have to
Those
explain
always.
it and write up like why this is okay or how it got handled. And yeah, it was weird. I mean, there, at the time, it's just, you look at it, um, you kind of discount it and look at it as like aberrations, right? That weren't handled. Um,
For
but
many lifetimes for some
well,
people.
right. And sometimes we'd have to go through that. And some of the aberrated fantasies that people put in freaking auditing sessions are just weird, man. But
Yeah, it
I
was
guess that
unreal
goes.
for me. It was like, you did what? I, one of my favorite ones was a guy from Germany. I was sec checking him at Flag,
Right.
and he would be talking away, and he was like, and I did this and I did that, and all of a sudden he would just burst out crying, and he would say, "Get me the crying papers." He called them the crying papers. I love that.
That's crazy.
It's like, "Get me the crying papers," and he would cry. I mean, it was amazing. And the other thing that happened at Flag while you were there, I was on the internship, and they wanted me to audit. First of all, they said, okay, there's someone here from the FBI, and they're after OT8. So you have to find them, Tory. You and the rest of the sec checkers have to find them. So you can imagine that kind of throws you a little bit off right away.
Right.
Right?
When was
So now,
that?
huh?
What year? When was that? Like in the mid 80s?
Yeah, I was in the 80s.
The
And
earlier 80s, right?
no, I think it was mid 80s because it
Like
was
85,
I
80.
I did it at AO, and I went to my supervisor and I said, look, this is fucked up. There's something wrong with this sec check course. And I was doing the internship, and he said, yeah,
Right.
actually you're right. I'm going to be honest with you. We have a new one coming out. It's at Flag. So you should just go to Flag and do the pilot. So I did. So I was there doing the pilot. And I had a really strong thing where if I took someone on as a person to audit, because I knew the staff hardly ever got auditing. So if they did get in session with me, I wasn't going to let them go until we were done. And
Right.
so they ordered me off. They said, no, we want you to audit some executives, get rid of so and so. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And they said, look, we're so and so. And they kept bringing higher and higher people on Flag. And they finally bought what was the big, it wasn't, I forget what the name of it is. It's, somebody said it last night, and I thought, that's what it is. It was, it was like the big, they were like big high guys up at Flag. Anyway, they came and they
It
said, look,
depends when you're talking, because all of management moved from Florida to LA. So there was, so it's probably when
the Watchdog Committee, that was it, the Watchdog Committee. And the head of the Watchdog Committee came up to me and said, look, we're the Watchdog Committee, and we're ordering you to get rid of
what?
that person and take
Really?
on this executive at Flag. And
Huh.
I said, well, here's the policy. No. And they said, who trained you? And I said, James Fiducia. And that happened at CC. I was trained by James Fiducia
Right.
just on regular, auditing. And someone had come to me at Celebrity Center and said, look, you've got to take in this guy tonight. He's going to New York tomorrow. And I said, look, I have my whole day is filled with people. And they said, we don't care, take him on, just fly his routes, get rid of him. He's leaving tomorrow. So I do it. I take him in session. This is the session. And he starts talking and he goes, well, when I leave for New York in 2 months, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, 2 months? And I go back to James Fiducia the next day and say, look, I'm screwed. Now I've got this guy. You can't get rid of him once you've taken him on.
Right. No, that's yeah.
He brought out the auditor's code that says no one, not
You
anyone,
can't
not a
abandon your PC.
can
Right.
make you abandon
Yeah.
your PC. And
Right.
they all went, wow. They were really impressed that I could stand up at Flag against all of them and say, no.
Against WDC. So he must have been there at on a mission because they didn't have offices there in the 80s.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is they said that. I don't even know if that's
my
really true. Maybe they just made it up. I have no idea. They
it
were
would have
definitely
been
trying to.
it would have been Mark Ingber at the time, I think. I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what it
not
would have
good with
been. I think
names.
that would have been WDC chairman.
I know I got some big executive I ended up sec checking after I
It was
finished the one that I was.
probably WDC FSO, which was Jenny Lenstein for a while. But before, yeah, either way, if it was, they were commonly at the that Flag, but they wouldn't announce themselves as WDC.
I know.
That's
I
the
know.
weird thing. That seems so
That was
odd.
the weird thing. But it was
And it's
because they had come through a bunch of chain of commands.
right.
And I was just like, I don't care who you are. No. Here's the policy. Here's the
Right.
the
Yeah,
thing.
that's
No,
weird.
I'm not.
Right.
And
Because
so
at the time, OSA, there was no OSA at Flag for a long time. There
I
was
wasn't
no,
with OSA.
no, well, I'm just saying, I was trying to put it all like, because there wasn't the Flag Bureau. There was a few people left at the FLB, the org, at the Flag, like FLB org. It was John Lundeen at the time, and then senior HCO was still there. Everybody
No,
else was intact.
this was way earlier, before they'd left, because it was a bunch of them were there. Anyway, let's go on, because we got to do more things. Some other people have asked you questions. Is it all an aberration, another part of taking a childhood from a child? Does it matter to you, not to me? Says, oh, it is. It's all an aberration. Another part, it is taking a childhood from a child. Do you feel like that happened to you?
I'm not sure what he's referring to. But
I think he's just referring to in general the things that happen to people that aren't good in Scientology.
Right.
Oh, JB808 wants to know if you have another channel.
I don't. No. Okay. I'm happy to talk. I don't want to derail the conversation too much.
I don't worry about it. You can do whatever you want. All right, now here's a voice down under T. Hi, T. Nan McLean was a Scientology documentary in Canada back in the 70s. At the time, she was in Scientology and defending it. She later defected and became an advocate. Wow.
Interesting.
I don't remember that name. I really don't. Do you?
Right. No, like I said, it sounded familiar, but I mean, I was in during that whole time. So
me too.
If she was in a documentary in the 70s, she was probably on the enemies list forever.
True, true. So we wouldn't know. Okay, Professor Kakan said,
go ahead.
Professor Kakan says, comment, Auditor's Code 15. I promise not to mix the processes of Scientology with another practice except when the pre-clear is physically ill and only medical
means will serve.
Means will serve. No, that's not the one that I used.
No, that's not.
There's another one where you can, no one can force you to drop your pieces.
Yeah, you can't abandon your piece. I remember that.
Yeah.
I forget which auditors, but I remember that.
But thank you, Professor Kakan, for that. That is another one, but that wasn't it. London is calling. Okay. Jan Breen, 146. Good to catch a live. Appreciate hearing from Tory and Dylan. Good. Well, say hi to Dylan, to London for us.
The whole
Have you ever been to London, Dylan?
No.
Yeah. It's a trippy place. I only went there because Anonymous flew Bunker and I in there to protest. And it was so weird because here in LA, the police are very like, get off the street. They stand with Scientology, right?
Right.
But in London, not so, man. It was like Anonymous. There were like 1,000 of them, it felt like. And they said they have the whole side of the street. Their half is their half, and the other half is the city. That's it. Nobody is telling us what to do. And it was like, I love you.
That's crazy.
It's just so cool to have that be.
I remember when Anonymous showed up. I remember that first video. And I hadn't thought about Scientology in a long time up until that point.
Right.
And it was crazy to have it all those wounds just open up and all those scars just kind of represent themselves. And it was like it was just like, oh, I know this language. I know this thing. I know, like, it's really interesting to when it came. And then I even went to a Sacramento protest and just walked around, and it was like I walked around in like almost in a state of unconsciousness, like, and even people like it was brutal in 08. It was freaking brutal. They called you Osa if you weren't like doing the whole anonymous, if you're just standing there. and it was crazy. Like it was a weird. Those first few protests for me were like, whoa, this is nuts. And there were still Sea Org members walking back and forth, and like they
yeah.
had all different. The ways they handled it then were so much different than now.
So much
It's so
different.
much
I mean,
different. It's
back then we
crazy.
used to talk to the Sea Org all the time. Not all the time, but I mean, certainly the security would come out and talk to us, and
Right.
we'd have Drew and I have it on tape. I mean, Drew has it on tape, but he has like an hour-long conversation with, different guys, and it was just kind of amazing that we had all those conversations, and now they can't say a word. It's
We
really
would
too bad.
totally talk to people at in Florida at Flag. We
Right,
would
right,
totally not even confront them. We would just be like, okay, we're gonna get in calm.
right,
And then
right.
just like, what are your upsets? What are you this? I can handle this. I'll match your tone. I'll do all my tricks. We'll see if we can get you going. Um, it was different. It was more of a game then, and it became less of a game. It became more
Yeah,
of, um, I guess, a different kind of game, right? Like game with a lot more fear in it than a game that felt like it would be, um, one that you'd want to play and win, or even contribute to that motion, right?
right.
Um, it felt more like that as a kid, and I think that's the spirit of play, right? For kids, it's like it's hard to squash a kid, especially with like the way what's missed on a lot of this is the way even born in little kids, the way they're indoctrinated is like you were born basically good.
Oh
You
yeah.
were you're a spirit, and you just need to spread your wings and fly, little dove, like, and it's like very polished indoctrination and corrosive persuasion, especially for kids, right? Because
Mhm.
most adults that get in it, they're trying to solve a problem. And it shows the premeditation, because Scientology is not just attacking from one angle, they're multifaceted. They're attacking children, they're attacking adolescents, they're attacking young adults, old adults, and they all have all these problems. Then they went into drugs and Narconon and Able and Wise and Sterling Management, and like it's crazy. Like just it's like dark energy. It gets everywhere, and it's a bitch to get off.
Yeah. And it did really turn dark. I was just writing about that in my journal, how it just moved so much darker than it used to be.
It did, and that's kind of the part I was when I went to the Sea Org. That was part of that inception, right? It was like what I left was right into Ron and this and that and making the world a better place and integrity and morals and like that was like right when the PTSSP course came out, and they really started focusing on like finding the SP and like fear.
I know.
It's fear. That's right when the fear kind of became the central thing. And then I mean, look at us now. Even
Well,
like it's interesting to see, as like before it was, and even like people like Arnie and Janice's mom. I saw somebody mention Janice. And a lot of those, Yvonne, like they were around um in Palo Alto and like they started these. Pasadena was a big founding org, right?
right.
And like so it was kind of like they had these little niches in the 60s and 70s, and it's Scientology isn't a forever religion. It's like a one and done,
What
right?
does
Like
that mean?
it's like get everything you can out of that person and then spit him out and welcome the other people in the front door. It's like if you want to go up to the well, because like what's the EP of the bridge? No matter where you go, there you are. It's always been you. It's always been you. It's always been here. You're right here, totally capable. It's like the whole thing with healing. It's like I'll take therapy and psychoanalysis and I'll wrap it up in 4 words, but I'm going to string it out into a lifetime if you want. So you can buy one book and get the fuck out, or you can go all the way up to the bridge and get trained and get audited and da-da-da and go whatever and and then get the fuck out. Because no matter what, it's all you. It's like the whole idea of if you blame everybody else for your problems, which is what Scientology thinks everybody who's not in Scientology does, then you're nowhere. If you start blaming yourself, you're halfway there, right?
Mm.
Once you realize that you can't blame yourself and you have to accept everything, that's the EP of all of Scientology. So it's how long can they string you out, that carrot, and keep you galloping along, being the best you've ever thought you could, and you need this thing that you don't need.
Right.
Like,
Or if you do need it, you can get it at the library for free.
or you can deal with you and accept that you are that and you are capable. And any limitations are just limitations you put on it or you agree to accept from society.
Right.
That's really, that's psychoanalysis in a nutshell, right? It's kind of the same idea. So then you get into ids and past lives and whatnot, and that's where they string you out. But at the very end, it's basically like, the world's too much. Well, we have an answer. You think it's all you? Well, you're going to have to accept that it's not you even, and you got to let it go. Now give us our money and get the fuck out. Like, next. Well, and you know what, how that works is if there's nobody there to sit there and be your historian, then you can keep rewriting that tale as many times as you want. And that's kind of that ties into the whole transition from like DM to LRH and this and that and all these convenient things that were just not addressed. There was never supposed to be a leader. There was never supposed, but yet here are all these X's that were in the Sea Org, just like me, going, oh yeah, DM leader. Yeah, leader. It's like, well, there's never, why doesn't anybody talking about like the Shelly thing? Oh, we don't know where Shelly, yeah, she's locked up, probably in a little Foot Locker somewhere. Da, da, da. And I went on Mike and Leah's podcast and I'm like, that's not how the Sea Org works. You do your conditions, you make your amends, and you go on post and you produce. There's no way she's sitting there for 15 years, 20 years being punished. As soon as she's like, hey, I'm good.
Yeah.
That guy, we don't get along. Like, what would you do? You would do an admin scale. You would write up your overts and withholds. You would do probably FPRD on all dynamics, like blah, 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 blah. You do even if you did all that and more OWs and more eventually you have to get out of conditions. Eventually you have to be on a post. You're in the Sea Org. And eventually you have to have stats and start producing. It's just the rules. Like, it's just how you do it. So, I mean, it's weird how it's, I don't know, maybe it's easy to get caught up in the, like, my life was so shit. Everything about me was crap. And if I could just go back and cry with my inner child, then everything might be okay. Or you protect your inner child and you don't ever let anybody in, right? Like that's I just described like most people in the ex-Scientology community. Either I don't need therapy. I don't need therapy. Life's great. I'm good. I got money. What the fuck? You guys are stupid. Just freaking out, create it. And then there's people that are like, I will only talk to you in my corner, and you can't bring anything of yours in my corner, and don't touch anything in my corner. and you're like, so this is me not trying to help you not being comfortable. Like, so it's about compromise, right? And it's about understanding that. Like, I'm a single parent. If I put all my shit growing up on my kids,
oh God, yeah.
That's internal dialogue. I don't have that dialogue with my kids. I have adult parent dialogue.
Sure.
Is it hard? Do I sit sometimes and go, wow, why couldn't my dad do what I'm doing for my kids? Yeah. Do every once in a while I feel sad for myself and I'm a poor little victim? Yep. Because it hurts. And those things hurt. Right. And that's how we all, like, we lose things. We lose people. We lose things we love. We lose things that we thought meant the world to us, and we don't have them anymore, and they're never going to come back. Yep. Am I going to go vomit and bleed all over everybody that's trying to heal with me? No. Why would I do that? You know, like, I would rather be like, recognize your place and where you are. If you're in a place that's like, I can empathize with people that are just starting that journey, and I can help some of those lumps be a little softer, I'm all about that. I can't make you not feel it. I can't take it away from you. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, and that's in this space, it's hard. It's hard to want to help people and think you have like even the foundations and stuff. Everybody has their little narrative that they want to keep repeating. And it's deeper than that. Even when the Aftermath was founded, and like the attitudes and there's a lot of nuances in this community that get glossed over for heroes and villains,
Right.
or black and white. And that gets perpetuated with what, like, when you did the stream about OSA tactics and stuff like that. Imagine, so there's OSA and there's OSA tactics, and then there's all these little freaking scumbags, including myself, that were raised in it and know every little bit about it, and were had it on it and checked out on it, and data series and handlings and this and that and outpoints, and yeah, and we're our own worst little enemies. Like, we will destroy and rip each other apart unless we try to heal. And I don't know, when YouTube likes drama, it's a lot harder to heal, right? And you can say there's safe spaces, but there's not really safe spaces unless you can create it inside of you. And so it's harder. And so we look at this where we are, and we're like, okay, we're in a space where people want entertainment. So then you say, are you not entertained? Do you want me to bleed more? Do you want me to like tell you how shitty my childhood was? So we can all have, like, it's not going to, unless I accept it, I'm either going to not accept it and walk away, or I'm going to accept it and say, yeah, I want to be ridiculed for my pain. You know what I mean? So it's weird. This is a weird space. This is a weird growing up in Scientology. I think I've said it a couple times, is if I could give all my memories away, I would. Otherwise, I'll keep them. But it'd have to be all of them. And so I could start over. So it's, and and it is what it is. It's just sort of,
and I had some very bad ones too, but you know, I am who I am because of those memories, you know, and what I lived through. And to me,
right.
It's like, you know, you can either accept how you are. This was a real moving point for me, because I was sort of always looking for someone that could help me. And one day I realized the center for me is here. It isn't anywhere else.
Right.
And it's like, it's not that I'm the only one, but I'm the only one that can fix me. And I am responsible for me. And as soon as I finally got that, you know, really got it. I mean, Scientology talks about responsibility all the time, but they're a bunch of, you know, it's a bunch of shit. Or they would follow, you know, their hearts and do what they know is true, and they don't. So,
right.
You know, for a lot of them, they don't. So, you know, for me, that was a big turning point. And I was still in when I realized that. I was like, wow, this is different than I thought. You know, I thought the TAC would do it. That didn't do it.
Right.
I quit 3 years before I left Scientology. I quit OT7. I was just like, that's it.
Right.
And,
That's interesting.
you know,
That's interesting that you say that. Because I think a lot more people, if they were honest, would probably have similar, like, it's like, it's been portrayed that like it's the prison of the mind, and it's so blah, blah. And that only like elevates like a half-assed science fiction writer's dreams of making a bunch of money and stamping his name. And you know, it's like, he wasn't that great of a science fiction writer. Even the whole Scientology backstories, like you can piece together where it came from science fiction novels of the times. That
Right.
was kind of the big, it's like, so it's interesting even that. It's like it's yeah, I don't think it's is I think a lot of people had a lot more doubts, and you weren't, the way it was set up and as it evolved, you weren't allowed to express those other than in a controlled environment where you would have it shoved right back at your face.
Right.
So, yeah, I kinda get that. Lolo said something interesting, um, about Dylan, have you ever read the letter written by Serge Delmar after Cece died about coming to terms with the fact that you may not have resolutions with friends or family? You mean, huh? You mean
Okay.
that?
Have you ever read the letter written by Sir Gilmar after Cece died about coming to terms with the fact that you may not have resolutions with friends or family?
Oh, that she said. Okay, so she said about she came to terms. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew Cece quite well. Um, I hung out with Cece a lot. Um, and I don't know. I don't. Do you want to touch this? Because this is.
Yeah, okay. Why? Why not?
um,
If you don't want to, then no. But if you do, what part of it are you concerned about?
I would, in general, I guess. Serge has been pretty critical of anybody who's a parent in the Sea Org or in Scientology that
Right.
had kids. And Cece was one of the not she was a person that said she took responsibility and for raising and understood what it was like, right? Um so I don't know. I think that brings up, and this is I'm going to speak from myself, because I haven't experienced anybody else's experience growing up in Scientology. But I don't I don't think asking or shaming somebody into an apology that you think is going to solve a problem for you that you can't deal with, like it doesn't, the math doesn't math for me. And I'm not, I don't know that I would, I just don't see, for my healing journey, that doesn't, I don't understand it. And I think, I don't know what anybody got out of it. I think Cece was like, she challenged herself to heal, and she was taking a lot of online classes, um and I think her healing journey was great, and she was really pushing herself, um and health, her body got in the way. We neglected our bodies a lot in the Sea Org.
Right.
um
Did you know her in the CR?
I did.
Okay.
When I was at CMOXU, we did a couple missions into AO, and she was the treasury sec at the time. Her her stories are funny. Um, how she used to, because like when she was the treasury sec there, they used to take all the checks and she would go down to the bank. It wasn't like it was all digital. Like she would take them, like all the money
Sure.
that AO collected, and would go to the bank and like do. Yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, she see, there's a few Lori Conius, CC Krushko, like those were salt of the earth people, like that were got mixed up in Scientology, like a lot of, like my dad. When people don't know that it's my dad, they're like, "Oh, he's so cool. He's such a great guy. He's so artistic. I love that guy." And he's kind of a musician and an artist, and he sort of was a cool dude. And it's like hard to hate somebody who chose their faith over you. It's like, I guess it's like, do I live my life and be like, this is gonna define my, I did for a while, and it it leads to a lot of
Pain.
self-destructive behavior.
Yeah.
and it leads to a lot of unnecessary pain and anxiety that I still don't understand. Yeah, I
Right.
knew DM quite well. Um,
What did you say?
oh, 49ers fan for life or whatever. Um,
Oh, did you
so
ever meet the
yeah, we talked. I didn't talk like, so there was different levels of DM. Um, when I was a messenger in Florida, I did not speak to DM very much because that was during the whole corporate reorg and what I worked a lot with Mike Rinder. I worked a lot with Tom and Jenny and um some other like senior CS int and um a bunch of other int terminals like in CMO int. Basically, I worked with Janice's husband, late husband, and a bunch of people like that. So, and then when I went up to CST, I worked with a lot of people, and my weekly reports went to DM every week. So we communicated quite extensively.
Yeah. And how, excuse me, how do you see him then and now? You think he's changed much or not?
um, no, I think he's probably exactly who he has always been. The only thing
Right.
that's changed now for me is understanding where he came from and how Scientology can turn somebody into who he is so easily.
Right.
And I think that's what added um the after the fact, that's what kind of added to, like, now I get it. I see it for sure. So
Right. His degraded daughter said, "Ah, yes, Cece is greatly missed. What a beautiful human. She gave me hope, as do Tory and Dylan. Thank you."
yeah, we did I'm trying to think who we did a video with when she passed. I can't think off the top of my head. I don't know. On one
Okay,
of the channels that I went on somewhere.
Lolo asked a question. She said Nan McLean sued the church, or she had a statement. Is in the 70s. She lived in Sutton, Ontario, and the church staged a mock funeral in front of her home. Wow. She was fearless. She should be remembered. I've never heard of that where they do a mock funeral.
Well, so when you were talking about earlier about um Bill Yachty or whatever briefing you about people wanting to get a hold of OT7 and OT8 or whatever,
That wasn't
um
Yachty. That was Osa. But anyway, yeah.
well, one in the same, right? Um
I'm just telling you, he wasn't at Flag at that time.
Gotcha. Well, and that brings up something that I've said a few times of prior to that, OSA was mostly external facing, and they were mostly going after people from the outside because there weren't at that point a lot of internal espionage or attacks or infiltration or whatever. Um, and at that point is when they started to start internal facing and I think that's kind of concurrent with the PTSSP course,
Mhm.
that like all the ethics and how that became more of a focus than prior.
And the command channels of Scientology.
Well,
That
that's
really,
where the organization, that's where the
right,
reorg, and then
right.
concurrently, they're like, as we reorg and recloak, we need to shore up all our shit because we have leaks everywhere. And so
But
if
that
we
was shocking to me, Dylan. And for these people who don't know, Scientology for years, I got in '69, and it was always a triangle like this with the
right, pyramid
missions,
scheme, right?
training and auditing up to the top. When the command channels of Scientology came in, I said, what is going on here? And they brought me a form, and literally the triangle was like this. And
Right.
now it was like management, upper management, senior management, and like way, 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 way down at the bottom, which used to be at the top of the triangle, was class 6, class 5, class
Right.
4, missions. And, it was just like in public, it was just like we were nothing. It was amazing to see in writing. I don't know if that's even on the internet. I don't, the actual command channels of Scientology, but it'd be a good thing to put up.
I think it is.
You think
I
it
think
is?
it is. Yep.
All right.
I think it is. If not, I know it by heart.
I know. Weren't you on the panel Laura hosted as a tribute to Cece?
Quite possibly.
Yeah, that
That
might be what you were
sounds
talking about. So here's
right.
Lola also said, Phil Anderson called me for years trying to recruit me. I knew nothing about Laura. I've wondered if my files were looked through by Phil or his group. We had long talks about Lake Simone or Simcoe, Lake
Yeah,
Simone.
I know who Phil is, and I know who his wife is, and I know who his kids are, but I don't know them. So
Well, anyway,
I've
the
never
next,
really dealt with the aftermath. Never asked them
yeah,
for money. Never. I've helped them. I've helped people that were afraid to fill out everything and do the um, request forms. I've helped a bunch of people fill those out and get help, but I've never asked for help myself with them.
yeah, me neither. Here's Jenny Linson personally walked CC out of AOLA, gave her 20 minutes to get her things and leave. Really? Wow, that's
Yeah, I remember
intense.
her telling me that. I do remember that.
James Sedusha was a great guy before the Sea Org. Did he remain so? I thought he did. I thought he did a really great job. He definitely helped me. He stuck to what he thought was right.
Right,
All right,
right,
kids
right.
shouldn't be listened to adults' confessions. Sorry you went through that, Dylan. Did you go through that also, where you had this sec check people?
No, I think that was referring to when we did the int procurement missions, and they were called like the int pers missions, and we had to call CULL all the PC ethics and personnel files. So I didn't listen to them; I read them. So I don't know
Right.
what's worse, honestly. But we had to go through. So the process is basically like everybody who joins the Sea Org, you when you get in the Sea Org, if you've had any auditing ever prior, all those files are sent to where you join the Sea Org. And then you always have what's called a personnel file, which has your life history, your intelligence, your IQ, your aptitude, and then any other info. You have your ethics files, where all your ethics handlings and any reports, knowledge reports, things that shouldn't be, comments, B of I's, any of that stuff, and they're all stored there. Handlings, write ups, everything. And then you have your case files. And depending on what case you are in Scientology, you're only able to view that file if you're of that case level or above. So if you're
But I
not,
have to correct you on this because you said everybody goes through this in Scientology. And this is
you
a problem I kept running into
staff,
on
all staff, right?
Okay, so staff,
Yeah.
just so people know, because I'm trying to get this corrected so that people understand, the kids that are now on the internet and don't know anything about Scientology. But it's like 1/3 of Scientology is the Sea Org. And I would say, do you think it's more or less?
Um,
I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
about
Who cares?
70% are public,
Or,
30% are Sea Org.
okay.
So it's like when people say, because kids all the time think everyone was in the Sea Org. And I have to say, no, they weren't.
Anybody in staff, if you join staff
right.
in Scientology, and so it doesn't matter to you, not to me, says PC ethics, personnel, and case files. That's actually not right. PC is case files, and then it's ethics and personnel. But it's all staff. Even if you're on mission staff, you have, and if you get, I guess, Tory, I think the only thing that public doesn't have is personnel files, because you have ethics files. You have, you do. You have ethics files.
I know, but you have
and
to understand.
You have PC files. So everybody in Scientology.
Why am I trying to clarify this? Why do you think?
I don't know why.
They all think, all of these younger people think everyone lives under the roof of Scientology, like the Sea Org.
Right.
They can't go out. They have to eat their food. They don't have any money. All the things that happen in the Sea Org. And I say, that's not true. I lived in my own house for most of the time I was there. I was in the Sea Org for a mini part of the time, and I was on staff for a little bit of time. But even the staff, most staff live in their own apartment or house or whatever. And they usually have a second job or a third job. So they're making more money. So it's different than the Sea Org. It really is. The Sea Org, you're under the roof of Scientology. You work for Scientology. You eat with Scientology. You sleep with Scientology. That's it.
Yeah, I know that part. I did that. But no, do you know what Scientology's primary purpose is in the world?
Tell me what you think it is.
Data gathering, period. So when you got any auditing is just the public, you didn't have a PC file?
Of course I did. I'm not clarifying PC folder or not. Those things, I'm saying.
So then,
the average public doesn't know that.
Well, okay. Then why is that? How does that change anything?
Why is it important? Because it's a very different life, and you know it. You lived it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I don't understand why. What are you making that clarification for, apropos to?
Because you said everybody in Scientology does this, and I'm trying to say every time I hear a Sea Org person,
everybody that's in Scientology has a file on them. Period. Everybody, whether they know it or not, it doesn't matter. If you get a Dianetic auditing class, you have a PC file.
No, that I agree with you on. That wasn't what I was clarifying.
If you take a course. If you do like any routing, all your routing forms go in your files. Any letters ever written go in your files. Anything.
No, I know everything that's ever you can think about is in your files.
But who manages the? Yes, the staff and Sea Org manage all that info. But every Scientologist has files.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
I wouldn't have said anything, but you didn't say that. You said this happens to everyone in Scientology, and I'm just trying to get Sea Org members to try to clarify the difference.
I gotcha. Okay, noted. I can do that. My apology.
Yeah. And you have no idea how many people say to me, "Well, were you in the RPF?" And I'm like, "No, because I was only in the Sea Org for a minute."
I was in the RPF and the RPF's RPF.
Right. And the RPF's RPF is really worse, right?
Yeah, it's worse. It's not as good. It's not.
I heard that you can't talk in the RPF, but in the RPF's RPF, I think you can't even talk at all or something. I mean, what would you say is the difference
between the RPF's RPF and the RPF? Well, so the Rehabilitation Project Force is, you go there based on either a COMEV or a very severe ethics action, and you're given a program to basically get yourself back into the group.
Right.
If you mess up in the RPF, you go to the RPF's RPF, or in some instances, you can be sent directly to the RPF's RPF.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what happened to me. I got
Oh.
Shelly Miscavige, Mrs. DM. Everybody loves her. Yeah, she sent me to the RPF's RPF. It wasn't really fun, but I forgive her. It's okay. I
And
get
this
it.
was at Flag in the apartment in the parking lot.
No, this was it. Int.
Oh, it didn't.
Yeah, this was it. Int.
Now this is before they had the hole, right? So what did they have for the? Where was the RPF's RPF?
Happy Valley.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like 15 minutes from the base, and it was pretty sick. There was an Indian reservation in between it.
I know. I went down the
scary.
road to the school they had that we were
Right,
told that's where the RPF is, and
right.
and they said don't go down there, and I said no, we're going, and it was a dirt road, and we drove down there, and man, they flipped out and jumped in their vans, and they were coming after us, and I spun around and got out of there really quick. It's like
Right,
we're out
right,
of here.
yeah. Yeah, there was the main house, and the school was off to the side, and
Right,
then past the main house was like 100 yards ish. There was another single wide or two single wides, and that's where the RPF was. And then there was another house, and that's where like people like me were kept because of where we came from. Because we were, if most of the people at Int were at Int when they got sent to the RPF or to the, because it was really hard for people to get qualified up there, right? So if they send them away, it was just like defeat the whole purpose of Int. So they kept him up there for the longest time trying to rehabilitate him, but David Miscavige is kind of a psychopath. So it's like, like when you see an enemy around every corner, guess what it starts appearing? Enemies around every corner.
yeah,
So it became like kludge, basically, is what it became. And so but that's where they kept people, and so the people that were at Int, they didn't know about CST, and they didn't know about any of that. So when people at CST got sent down to Int for handling, we got separated from the other Int people because they weren't at the same qualification or whatever level of
right,
security or
right, right.
whatever made up crap that was when it was there.
And how long were you there?
At Int
No, at the
or
RPF's RPF.
oh, the RPF's RPF is only supposed to go for like 2 to 4 weeks. And then the RPF is supposed to go for the RPF originally was only supposed to be like, it wasn't supposed to be it wasn't supposed to be longer than a year, or it wasn't supposed to be longer than like 18 months. Like that was like supposed to be the longest it would ever be. But the RPF's RPF was pretty much like you write up OWs, you do even more work. You can't eat until all the RPF is done eating. So like all of Int eats, all of anybody in lower conditions eat, then the RPFs eat, and then you eat.
Yeah.
So there's not, I mean, I don't know. It's whatever, it's food, right? Sustenance.
This is Professor Khan comment. Have you heard from several reliable sources that there is no more RPF?
Yeah.
It was just renamed EPFB.
But so the EPFB has always been around. That's basically what they called the DPF, the Dex Project Force. So it's like what we did in the Sea Org. Simple explanation, it's how you interpret policy, right? It's what inflection you put on it.
Right.
And that's sort of how everybody navigated. And that's how DM started. He started in CMO in action. He was in those fast-paced, like high risk, high reward. He learned how to freaking manipulate policy to get his product. And because there's a thing in the Sea Org where you can walk, and I did it as a missionaire for years. Is you can walk that line ethical line, as long as your stats are up.
Right.
But I mean, not just up, but as long as you are killing it.
Right.
Like as long as you can pretty much get you can get away with almost anything. And that's where it's like you get guys like Matt Pesh or whatever the fuck his name is. I get all these people that have like fake names forever. It's so weird, right? Marty
That's a fake
Rathman.
name? I
Yeah,
thought that
his
was a
name is like
thing.
Mark or something. I don't know. Anyways, I knew him as Matt Pesh. He was the TreSec FSO. And he
Right.
was, when there was any problems, guess what you did? Is you made the org that had the person blowing pay for it. And guess who's in charge of Treasury? Matt Pesh. So, and then he went up to Int later or whatever, because there was nobody else qualified. We
Right.
passed over him so many times because he did have those problems. He didn't really give a fuck. He was like other fish to fry. He
Right.
was like that kind of thing, right? And he's a great guy. Hang out with him, super great guy. But anybody who's like, yeah, I was on the RPF and I was eating steaks, because it's like, yeah, shut the fuck up, dude. You know how many people this traumatized for life? Like, stop.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it's like, those are internal thoughts. We don't verbalize those because other people aren't there yet. We can't all sit around a table and laugh and be like, oh, we were such douchebags. Well, they still are really, that's a big deal for them. Maybe life or death. So maybe, STFU.
Yeah, it's true. And it, it's like the old thing of walking someone else's shoes,
Right.
for a mile.
Yeah. Well, at least tell them you're a mile away when they have your shoes and you're a mile away. Right. So.
All right, here's the next one from Doesn't Matter to You, Not to Me. Okay, Dylan, damn it. Is Rena Weinberg still in? From my understanding, she went to the hole after Narconon Arrowhead was opened.
Narconon Arrowhead was in the early 2000s, right? That would have been, that's after my time.
I think Narconon Arrowhead was before 2000.
I was, what was it, late 90s? Because I got out in the mid 90s, and
because I was out in 2000, and Arrowhead was way open.
Yeah, I was probably trying to like not. That's maybe what I was trying to do at that time, early 2000. Yeah, I was just getting done with not killing myself and eating out of dumpsters. So yeah, I don't know. 2000s, that wasn't me.
Okay, that was me. Well, 2000 is the July 2000 is when I escaped out. Now Kelly said, "Sorry, your channel is gone, Dylan." Me too. I really enjoyed your posts. Maybe a blog could be in the future.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see how this space gets defined.
Yeah, take a break for now.
Yeah, no, it's not a break. It's not about. It's definitely not a break.
Okay.
Because it's not like that's not. I don't know when. Oh, I do. I know Aaron Saxton very well, actually. Oh, that's funny. I like Aaron. He's a good guy. We talk not frequently enough, but we talk often.
Who are you talking about?
Aaron Saxton.
Oh. Yeah, he's a cool guy. All right, so Peter Anderson says, question, Dylan, what were your thoughts on the infiltration of CST base by YouTube, Tyler of Oliveira? Have you seen the footage and noted any changes to the property since you were there?
I did see the footage, and they got a lot of stuff wrong, which is a shame. This might get me oh wait, I can't get canceled.
What happened?
I said this might get me canceled. Oh wait, I can't get canceled. I texted when I saw this video, I actually texted Aaron because they were just getting a lot of information totally wrong, and I was like, what a fucking hypocrite. You sit there to all your people and say, all you got to do is call me, just pick up the phone and text me. I'm right there. And then when he has the chance to reciprocate that or show that's what reciprocity, it's crickets. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it all wrong. They didn't like where he ended up. So when he first gets over the bridge and comes across, the house on the right is the LRH house. I built that. And then as he crosses the street, the main little gate, and he stops like right at this little cottage building by the door. That was my office. I shared that office with Jane McNairn.
Wow.
And then he ran down a couple doors, and he stopped right in front of the laundry services. There's like 2 huge commercial dry cleaning machines in there. And then when he got to the very end, that was probably Sarah Bellin's quarters. So we used to live while we were finishing the base, we used to live across the street where the PIs are. And we used to walk across the street like every day, back and forth, no big deal. And we had a little gate and we walked up. And there was always one of us in that little security gate. And for years, nobody ever came up. Nobody ever did anything. I mean, it was pretty confidential for the most part. But yeah, so and then he went around and he got right when he got to those pathways. I don't know if anybody noticed those pathways, but I built those. Those were amazing. They're stamped concrete with glycol that goes through them. So when it freezes, it melts and nobody can break their ankle, because we had the CO's comm broke her ankle. And this is where, like, so these were some of the things when I was in and being up at like this area. Those were some of the outpoints that I noticed that started to put cracks in my foundation. Because it was like when you were in the CMO and even as a Scientologist or in an org or mission, if you got hurt, you got a PTS check. There was something going on in your universe that you pulled in to have this happen to you, right? And when I was tasked with building these pathways from the CO's quarters to, and so where he stopped the grass right there, he was like, that's the vault building. That was our mess hall. That's where we ate. So
I knew you'd love that whole video though.
yeah, it was pretty. I was like, dude, you're kind of like you're giving wrong information. And I gave him the right information and he never even clarified it. And that's where I was like, dude, this is disingenuous. This is where it's like, this isn't for, there's no heal. And I mean, I guess to his credit, he makes no bones about it, but I don't know. It's like when you put yourself in a position to help people, you really should have empathy, compassion. You should be capable of reciprocity, and you should be also capable of creating, even not physically by yourself, but through therapy or through means, creating a safe space. And that isn't something that it's just not there, right? So
I don't think that's in his book.
Right. Well, and however, there is no book because there's no plan.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I just mean it's not in his, he's doing the content creation.
Right.
And whatever that is,
Well, it's even like, I don't know. If your passion was like, I want to help people, even when you made a bunch of money off of spitting venom and vomiting all over in your little private members thing, make it known, make a donation to your found. And even though that's disgusting, at least you're like, there would be passion behind it, right? Like, I don't know. Either way, I don't care because I made some bad decisions. I thought some people were different than who they were. I tried, because I'm stubborn, I tried to stick out because I thought I needed to be there to shoulder some of this. And then I realized that I get nothing from being around and in this space. Like, it's not something I want to draw attention to myself for. That's why I kind of deleted my channels. Like, it wasn't, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, I don't know. I don't have this secret like hope that everybody follows me. And that's why I never monetized. That's why I never, like, it wasn't all the, I've done, if you look around, I've done videos with Chris Shelton, Aaron Smith Lovin, Claire Headley, um, you, right? Like Laura, Liz, some of those people. But it's, I never put them on my channel. I never simulcast them at the same time. I just kind of wanted it to be, yeah, Jenny. I'm sorry she stopped doing it because that felt like the most real path that was happening. And Degraded Daughters, always of just a bright, shining light that needs to be illuminated and lifted up. Absolutely. And a lot of other people. This isn't it's just there's no way to wash out that negativity, and it's way easier to quench that light, right? Like it's way easier to peddle in fear and all this stuff, and then when it's like, when you get challenged, be like, well, I'm so hurt and you don't know, and it's like, play this game like, I'm going to throw ad hominems at you because you did it to me. You're psycho. No, you're psycho. It just goes, it's at one point, it's like, dude, we either have to be the bigger people, or you gotta boundaries and distance.
Right.
And the trap here with a lot of even the chat and stuff is it's, oh, well, let's get back to what we're all here for. All right. So we're all going to assume that it's and then are we lacking? If we're all here to fight Scientology, what have you done for me lately? So now we're still right back where we started in that same, right? And there's no like I never came into this space nobody did. Aaron, when Aaron thought of protesting? When he saw somebody start a YouTube channel and grow bigger than his channel. That's exactly when he was like, oh. And you look back at some of those first videos, I was around then. He was terrified to go out there.
Right.
Because that's probably the closest he's ever gotten to doing anything productive for his little inner child that got hurt. Instead, he's just been trying to put metal blankets over it and hide the fuck out of everything. Nothing to see here. You're good. Just go away. Nobody hurt you. Right. And then you go on the internet and you play this big game and start hurting other people. What happens in this space when somebody actually like ends their own life? Do we then stop? What happens when a ex-Scientologist goes so crazy that he shoots his ex-wife and kills himself? Do we just ignore it? Do we learn anything?
Did somebody do that?
That's Arnie Lerma, right?
Oh.
Right. It's weird. Let's just get back to what we're here for. Fight Scientology.
No, I flew down there.
But I know. It's right. And then she went back to Scientology. I get it. It's fucking not all psycho.
To see.
Right. But that's the product of Scientology. And it's,
what's the guy's name? Tom, whatever. No.
Oh, Tom Pervincino or
No. I like him too. No, it's Tom. He wasn't in the Sea Org. I forget his name, but he was in Clearwater, and he was the one who flew down there and basically got Arnie's kid, put it in his head, all these false images about it. It was just awful.
But the kids started. These are these incidents, right? It's this negativity, and it just keeps. It wasn't Devok, Kelly. It was
No, it was Tom. I forget his last name.
Yeah,
he was around forever as a critic.
Right.
I mean, as an ex-Scientologist.
Right. No. Yeah.
Well, it certainly wasn't Devok or the other guy. But yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I just think, to me, I don't know. I like helping educate people about. So, and I love hearing people come back to me and say, we were going to join the Sea Org until we talked to you. They were on their way to go join the Sea Org.
Right.
I saw him looking up at the sign, and I looked at them, and I thought they're perfect quality for a Sea Org. And the younger guys, handsome, fit. And I said,
Right.
don't get into that. And they all kind of looked around at me like, who the fuck are you? And I said, look, I was in it 30 years, man. I'm speaking from experience. And that's when they came over and talked to me. And we had a long talk, and they came back, and all four of them were going to join the Sea Org, and none of them did. And they said, we really want to thank you because we were on our way. I gave them one of my little cards.
Like
Here's all the
staff.
stuff they won't tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And go study it and learn it and look at both sides and make up your own mind. And they came back a couple of weeks later and said, man, we can't thank you enough. We were on
Right.
our way.
Right. No,
And
that's
you know
awesome.
how it is.
I think everybody should do what they think is right and best.
Right.
Like, honestly, that's what, like, if you enjoy doing what you do, you should totally do it.
Yeah, I like it. I like these people, and it's just sort of like something I feel good about, and it isn't like I feel like I need to do it or I have to do it or anything like that. It's just something I like to do at
Right.
this point. I mean, I wasn't going to say a word, and then they chased me across the country, and because of that, by the time I got to Tampa, I was an activist, and Bob Minton said, look, we're going to protest tomorrow. We want you to come along. And that's when I bought the red horns. Remember my picture with the red horns?
I do.
And that was because I said to the buses,
Mm.
I'm not here handling these people. I'm with them. And I just kept saying that over and over. I'm not handling them. I'm with them. Because they used to send me out to handle them.
Right.
Were you ever there when I was handling the protesters?
In
when
Florida?
I was in? Yeah. Both Florida and...
No, I would have been at CST by then, and then I was gone. So that's where it's like, I think that's where it's sort of like with people, when from the outside, it's like, oh my God, where would the leader's wife go? That's crazy. And for me, I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. Like, that happened to me. I was all over the lines. I was a missionary. I was a messenger. I was a messenger when I was in LA, I was the messenger in Action Bureau, firing missions. Like, I did missions into OSA. I put Mike Render's replacement on post. Like, we did all the Y's and the Ables stuff when they used to be downtown right before they moved to the HGB.
Yeah.
I did all those missions. Like, there was so many. We were everywhere. And then all of a sudden, gone. I was gone. To me, I wasn't. I mean, I was up at CST and I was doing my CST thing. But to everybody else, you didn't get told where that he was here yesterday. Yeah. I mean, literally in the middle of the night, I was woken up by Laurel, and he's like, come on, we're going. And I grabbed my stuff and we drove up to Crestline in the middle of the night. And I woke up at like CST, and it was like, literally, I was gone. And nobody's going to be like, oh, hey, where's my preps briefing and firing director? He's gone. He doesn't exist anymore in your world. So,
I know,
yeah, I mean, it's sort of, it's an interesting, having that inside perspective is a little different. And then having that, like, and then coming out and seeing all this, like, I did a lot of, when I stopped doing a lot of hurting and I stopped doing a lot of like self-inflicted pain, I started healing. And I did that for a long time, and I'm still doing it. I think when you start healing, you realize that if you have a lot of trauma, this isn't something you're not going to recover from. It's something that you're going to maintain, hopefully. And you're hopefully going to have, at one point, guess what most therapists, well, for me, have told me is that, what else can I do for you? You should find a peer group. And that sort of, when I came back into this YouTube space and was came in, I was sort of like, we had a bunch of second gen meetups. We had been Serge and Christy Gordon and I were trying to start a foundation.
Mm.
We were gonna do that. We were like right there, ready to do it when all this happened, and we got taught, and we're just like, oh well, yeah, like we could, like, and it was ignorant, and it was like, hopefully this will work out. And when I read the bylaws, we were gonna have annual or semi-annual elections, so that those first 11 people would be being voted president, vice president, like we would all be one unit. And I was like, this could work, right? And then what couldn't have been further from the truth. So it ended up being a few people that would have all the information, conceal it from the rest of the people, and then tell them, here's the people we want you to vote yes on.
Right.
And so it was like, well, and that was like, the beginning. It has to grow and this and that. And I've heard there's some allegations levied about me that I asked to, or I offered to help, but how stupid of me, because that wasn't even a thing. And it's like, do you really think that I would just be like, hey, I want to answer the phones? Oh, that's not a thing. Oh, I'm a retard. Like, no, I have text message. I texted Jenna. I texted Aaron. I texted Mike Brown. And I found out how easy it would be to have it forwarded to my number. And I did say I would take it on all the time, but it would be nice to have somebody else. And I presented it in a way that was a solution, because what does an executive wants on his lines? He wants tons. He wants solutions. He doesn't want problems, right? I understand. I was fucking raised and born and was in the Sea Org. I understand. I wasn't some little weirdo tech sec in AO. I was upper management. I understand how your little freaking weird unhealed mind works, right? So it wasn't presented that way. It was presented in a way that was completed staff work. Oh, weird. So, but it was thwarted because it wasn't necessary, and it was decided what was and what wasn't necessary. So, and that's where it became, oh, so we're just cannon fodder for you. We're like your entourage, but we're not in the know. We're going to take the hits, but you're going to keep all the information from us.
Right.
Which I escaped that. And I spent years trying to end my life and then trying to start healing from that. Why would I go back and do that?
Right.
It's like pecked to death by ducks, right? It's like, no, you're not going to start just, no,
Pecking
this
at
isn't
you.
going to happen
No.
again, right?
No.
And so all the semantics about he said, she said, and this and that, and I'm so like, really, if everybody wants to know and you're not a fake little bot trying to stir the shit or triangulate in the chat and going from chat to spread drama, open your eyes, listen, and look at these people. And that'll tell you everything you need to know. Look at how they're acting. Look at what they're doing. Look how easily they're influenced. I don't like to say, oops, my bad. I gave you wrong info like it was the facts. No, know the facts or be really clear that you don't know. Like but that's a character trait, right? So when people just start regurgitating and barfing out info, you also show yourself as what? A useful idiot. There should be a channel. This is terrible. I shouldn't say this, but again, I can't get canceled. So there should be a channel that
the new Dylan line.
that writes emails to these people suggesting outlandish things, and then start watching and seeing what makes it through. And you'll see right there's your line.
Yeah.
Right? It's like somebody who left the system but never left the system. They just readopted the same system they tried to escape from, and they call it something different now. But they become a useful idiot because you know everything about them, because you know how they operate. Aaron self-admit, you listen to him, I kept every report I ever read. Okay, and you still have those, huh? What do those do for what would somebody get out of that? Other than telling them this is what I'm a vindictive you send me something and I'll use it against you. Your personal information. Did I know that Aaron was going to put my address and all that stuff out in public? No. Should I have? Probably. He asked me to be one of the guys that has the, and he's like, well, it'll be on the forums. And I was like, okay, cool. No big deal. Like, come at me. You come out to where I live, and I hope you have an escape plan because you're probably not leaving. Like, I'm just like, it's a long way. It's not, I'm not in a town. Like, anybody more than welcome to come find me. 100%. Absolutely. So it's there's a lot of deception and manipulate, and when we're supposed to be being peers. Again, the reason why I came into this group and everything was because I wanted to affirm my healing journey partially with other people that have experienced similar pain and trauma. And I also, in watching people, I could see different places that I had been and places that I didn't recognize that I might still have to climb. And I could see that I fit in this somewhere. And I was like, wow. So the people behind me, I can be like, hey, it doesn't have to be so hard. There doesn't have to be so many, what would we say? And this is where like the Scientology training, I'm going to say something that makes sense to me and it'll make sense to you, but it might be Scientology, peaks and valleys, right? It makes it so there's not so many peaks and valleys. Because sometimes those valleys, when you're healing by yourself, they're hard to get out of. It's dark and it's scary. And when you start to be vulnerable, it's harder when like you need a peer system. Because sometimes you're vulnerable and you can't get out and your footing is loose and you keep slipping. And what do you have to do? Cut your arm off to escape? Well, maybe. And maybe that's the only way you'll live. Or maybe you don't care anymore and you won't live. And you just succumb. Because that happens too. There's a lot of fucking kids that grew up born in Scientology that are dead by their own hands. They lost their fight with depression and it's fucking terrible.
Yeah. And they weren't allowed to go see therapists or medication or anything.
I'm terrified. It takes me still to this day, if I go to the doctor, it takes me probably 15 minutes to calm down enough for them to take my blood pressure.
Wow.
I usually have to talk to the doctor for a little while and just get comfortable with him. And I used to not like, because they put you in a fucking room and they shut the door. And sometimes it's locked. Like, it's freaky. Like, I've told doctors, like, I don't think I'm pretty sure I'm not leaving here. And they're just like, what are you talking about? I'm just like, I'm just saying. I don't feel, and it's like your heart, they're like, is something the matter with you? I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking freaking out. Like, this is scary. Like, this scares me to death. And that's a hard thing to get over. Right.
Well, this is a thing. Can I give you a suggestion on that? Because
it doesn't happen much anymore. This was the same part of my healing journey. But yes, absolutely. I always love help.
I always tell people wherever I am, I tell them that I was in a cult, and if I act weird, it's part of, just I apologize, but that's the way I am. I need X, Y, and Z. Like I can't have the door locked. That's just too weird for me.
Right.
And as soon as I say cult, they go, no problem, we won't do it. Whatever it is. If there's something where it's weird for me, I just tell them, look, I was in a cult. I'm sorry, but I can't handle that. And they go, okay, we'll change it. They're really good about it.
Okay. Well, so interesting, because as a white male in America, I have a little bit different expectations of my societal interactions. And I did the vulnerable thing for a while. And I received a lot of shame and humiliation.
Really?
For it. Because it's so when you do something that's right, and I get it. But
I get it. It's a different thing for you. I get it.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. It's it's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
And then that's not going to work. So forget it.
Right. Well, it's
But
just it's not that it doesn't work, it's just that um you I think you learn to read the room, cuz by my own, I know I come across so one of my defense mechanisms is I come across very well put together. Right?
you
I
do.
can handle anything. You know what I'm willing to do? Confront anything.
Hmm.
And you know what I'm willing to do during that? I'm willing to be there comfortably. so, um so it doesn't matter. Like, and that's where I think it's you're expected to be a rock for people, and when you show sometimes those same vulnerabilities, it's overwhelming for those people because they've already put you kind of in a place where that you're supposed to be helping me. And I take responsibility for that. I think that being part of my defense mechanism is I do come across that I don't need help and I don't ask for help. I don't even look for people to ask for help. I see people that are in need and I help them. I don't wait for them to ask me. And that's all I want in return. The energy I give is all I expect in return. I'm not asking anybody to do anything I'm not willing to do myself.
Right.
And it's just a different way of living. I'm not like, it's better. It's nice. Like, I don't mind being more isolated. I enjoy that because I don't like peopling that much anymore. In general. I mean, I like people, I like communicating, but I just don't like peopling. I don't, it's, I don't know. Maybe I grew up in a time where it was like, people would smile, hey, little guy, at the supermarket, and it was just different. So,
Yeah.
um, I think that's a better way. And honestly, like, if you kind of have or you nurture a servant's heart, it's not a weakness. Um, there's a lot of healing in just giving unconditionally and just loving and accepting others where they're at and not
Yes.
expecting that in return, right? Like, not needing, I'm not giving something that I want and desperately need but won't tell you. I'm just giving because sometimes that's all you can do is
Mm.
just show love and just give and just
Right.
and not be like, oh, I'm mad at you, you this, you owe me, I'm gonna go talk crap about, like,
I
just
know.
practice because it's hard. Where
So,
we came from, you have to almost, when I played rugby in college, I was the kicker. And sometimes my mechanics would get all out of whack, right? I just wouldn't be kicking the ball right. And I would take a practice or two and I would try to kick with my opposite foot. And I would try to change my entire routine to my opposite foot.
mm,
And then when I went back to my other foot, it was like natural. It was back, everything was on, everything. And it was just like that reset of my muscle memory that I
sure.
already had, but I just like got my circuits mixed up or something. So it's kind of similar. Like, you have to kind of break it up a little bit. Like, I don't run around, I'm not a philanthropist. I'm not rich. I barely have any money, but I have what I think maybe we all have is, and what is like, we're able to give each other a miracle by just being there and like witnessing for somebody
Right.
and just being in there. Like, that's sort of what, and that fits with the OT thing or the whatever thetan or whatever things that I'm not allowed to really think about because Scientology is so bad, but all my spiritual awareness I have to now attach to something. Like, it makes religion and spirituality really hard. Like, really, it's like, so I think for me, that's sort of what I've come to the conclusion of, is that if you just are able to see a situation where you can be a positive influence and a source of light or energy, and you can just do that with nothing and walk away
Mm.
without anything. I mean, that's just the chef's kiss. It is perfect. Like, that's, um, so I don't know. Yeah. There you go.
There you go. All right. So Style Audit says, question, if you like, could you explain the difference between class 4, 5, orgs, etc.?
Well, really, class 4 orgs were prior, were older, and you would only go up to a certain, they would only train you to like class 4 auditor, and you could only get like the grades and that, and then you had to go to, well, it's like what you said earlier, it was a pyramid scheme. You had the orgs and missions, right? Oh, you had the missions at the bottom, and they
Missions.
did all the basics like Dianetic auditing. Even before the basics, they did like,
And missions got new people in. That's what
they
they
were
did.
they were the boots on the ground basically, and
Yeah.
then they would send people to their local org where they would get like and most of the missions were like Dianetics missions, and then
Right.
it was a Scientology org, and then it was like, so you, like, my aunt was a supervisor, and my uncle and my dad at a mission, so we had all that. Like, I used to sell Dianetics book doors to door, or
Yeah,
door to
you
door,
said that. You
right? When
said
I was like 8, 9 years old, like going door to door selling books. They would drop us off at night, and we would go knock on doors until we sold a book. And then we'd come home, and then we get a commission, and then we could use that to buy another course. That was like, woohoo. No, missions, ideal missions now. Wow. That's crazy. Ideal missions now can do the purif. Huh. Yeah, it's become way more messed orientated, right? It's more about things and stuff than like a spiritual journey.
right.
And that speaks to that right there. But so it would be a certain, you get audited up to a certain level, and then it was meant to go to the next level, like your AO after that. Or at that time, they had this Saint Hill special briefing course, which actually was a huge big thing in this Scientology and the Sea Org at one point, and now they don't even have that anymore. But you would then go up from there, and then like flag was the highest level. Flag was where you could get all the levels, all the
Right.
auditing training, all the
Everything.
levels. Class 12, only place in the world that had all the class 12s, and
And the
like,
L's.
and the L's, right? Yeah, that was um
Total
those were
waste
the,
of money.
yeah, but it was like, it's a good way to get everybody all VGIs, right?
I
Um,
talked to the L's auditors that were originally trained and the original L's auditors, and they said it was such a bunch of shit.
yeah, they
And
hated it. But
by the time Miscavige came around, he doubled and tripled the price. So
right.
whatever was $100,000 now went to
Yeah,
$200,000
it
because
was
they had to
like
redo it.
30,000 in intensive, I
Yeah,
want to say, for
it
L's.
was
That was
unbelievable.
crazy.
All right, now, man, please. This is Aloha JB808 says, man, please don't ever stop speaking your truth. Your stance against the whole hierarchy system is not limited to just Scientology and really resonates with me in my real world. It's true, Dylan.
Yeah,
I think you have a
I
lot
agree.
to say on a lot of different things. Very important. Wait, I got to get to the top and just get these. Style Audit says, okay, you explained the class 4 and class 5. Okay. And what was the difference in class 4 and class 5? What was class 5?
When they switched to class 5, they switched, that was after all the missions were gone. So class 5 orgs pretty much were that's where the whole, I think, idea for ideal orgs, besides the
Oh,
whole real estate plan, was because then you didn't have, that's where they had the testing center. They had to come up with unusual solutions because you didn't have any more missions, because all the
right.
missions were under mission holders who were making money, and that's why there were people there.
And
And then
that's
when it
why
was
they
put
quit.
under Scientology's purview, there wasn't enough people to staff it anymore, because who's going to work there? The EDs are like, screw you. So
Yeah.
they were all done. There was just a couple, like, I think, like a few in the Bay Area, Northern California. There was a few in, I think it was like Santa Clara, Palo Alto, and then Los Gatos became an org kind of for a while. And then down in Pasadena, there was a few missions, and it was, LA was always different. It was always going to be, so most of the class 4 orgs became class 5 orgs, and they just upped their pretty much what they could do. It went up a little bit higher in auditing, and then they moved everybody to the AOs and that kind of crap.
Yeah, and the AOs where you did clearing and above the OT
Right.
levels up
Right,
to
right.
OT.
Like Sunshine Rundown,
I think you went
CCRD.
up to OT 5 was AO, and
Yeah.
then you had to go to flag for 7, 6 and 7 and
Yeah,
8,
6
and
and
then 8
7.
to
Right.
ship.
Because 6
Okay,
was like
so
the drug rundown, right? The OT drug rundown. And that was 5.
no. 6 was the training for
The
class
training
for
first.
solo
Yeah,
auditing.
that's right.
And so that was where, because Barry Klein was roving. Remember Barry Klein?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he was always roaming around here saying that he healed. Let's say you broke your arm. Well, I went into session and healed Dylan. He's fine now. And so I was sure that's what OT7 was learning how to heal. And so I'm do all this training, e-meter training, all this other shit, and there's nothing about healing. So they say, well, wait till you get to part A, which you have to be invited onto. So I finally
Right.
got my invitation. I get there, I
Such a
do that,
mm,
and there's nothing about healing people. And so I say, well, where's the healing shit? And they said, well, wait till you get to part C, because I was in B. A
right.
was the meter, B was
Mm,
tech stuff, and then C was the special stuff. So now I'm in just a little room with a supervisor and one other person, and I open up the pack, the C pack, and it
right.
just has one other command that's more OT3 shit. And I say, what the hell is this? Where's the Barry Klein rundown? That's exactly what I said to her. And she
right.
said, pardon me? And I said, about healing. Barry Klein, he's an FSM. That's what he talks about. He always heals people because he's on OT7. And she said, okay, we're going to send you to cramming. And I
Right.
went right to cramming into this top secret room. And I sit down and she goes, all right, here's the pack. Open it up. That's OT7. That's it.
Was
Whatever
that in
all these
flag?
people are talking about is basically bullshit. It's like whatever they imagine OT7 is,
Right.
that's what it is for them. But that doesn't mean it's part of the tech. It isn't.
Right. 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 Was
I
that
mean,
at flag? That was at
yeah,
flag, right? Yeah. Was
yeah.
that at the CB? At the Clearwater Bank building?
No, at the
In the
sandcastle.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, it was the upper ones. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
we did it at the sandcastle.
That's right. Yeah. I
And
was thinking.
so I was pissed. I was really pissed. It was like it just really pissed me off because I figured he lied through his teeth. And it went on and
Oh.
on and on because then I'd go to an event and one of those big executives would come out and say, well, Dylan Gill healed Tory and I think there it is. Another guy can still heal. And I'd get back into it. And it just went on for 7 years, with like, I can't heal anything. All I did for 7 years was fly my routes. I want to get off this level. I have present time problems. I'm 100 pounds overweight. Please let me off. I write to Miscavige, say it's not working. It was just a fucking mess. And everybody on it was a mess. I wasn't the only one. It's just we couldn't talk to each other about
Right.
it.
Exactly. No, there was definitely a bunch of people that couldn't leave the sandcastle.
No, it was really something else. And I'll tell you one night a really funny story out at the sandcastle, because remember the park was across the street. And
Right.
this
Right.
girl from Australia, it was like late at night, and she goes like that, and she's just like, she's got her mouth open and she's like screaming, but she's not screaming and she's pointing out to the park. And I'm like, Adrian, what's going on? And she couldn't talk. She just kept saying, look. And so I go and look, and there's the KKK,
Oh my
all
gosh.
in white sheets with the pointed hats
What?
and everything. It was like shocking to me that the police were all there, securing them
Mm-hmm.
so that we couldn't hurt them. It was
Right.
like, oh my God, what a mess.
Yeah.
I have so many stories about the sandcastle. It's ridiculous.
The
Okay, now
sandcastle
stop.
was a pit. That place was
Was
so gross.
what?
It was a pit.
Yeah. Well, it
It was
was until they renovated
nasty.
it,
Yeah,
and
until they
then
ran it.
it was even
We had to
worse
clean
because
that on the EPF.
really,
Yeah, we had to do housekeeping as
and my
part of the
son did
EPF.
housekeeping with the housekeepers. He would go around and make
Terrible.
beds with this lady
Yeah, it
who
was
was
terrible.
Sealand, and
Like
they
that's what
both
you're
were.
charging is for us to clean your room. Like it's almost like a la pre-Epstein. Like how disgusting. Like you have half the people on the EPF were like my age. I started my EPF at 14.
Right.
So we're cleaning like adult OT's rooms that were just gross. Like they were gross. All the curtains were like shut and darkened up so they could either get sessionable or do solo audit. Ugh. Yeah, it was
I know
gross.
people would arrive there until they renovated it. They would arrive there with bleach. And
I
I would
bet
say,
because all the palmetto bugs. Yeah,
well, not just
those
the
are
palmetto
gross.
bugs, the mold. They
Yeah,
brought
the
the
mold.
bleach
There's mold.
to wash off all the, the bathrooms because they were filled with mold.
Just gross. Yeah, that
I
was
know,
nasty.
really gross. Okay,
Most
now,
most ethical group on the planet. Like what?
okay, all right. So Style Audit asked question. I've always wondered about body Satans.
Phaetons
Are
probably.
they just spirits the way most people understand it, or are they particular specific spirits of the ancient alien race? Do you
Well, that
want to
goes
answer
into
that?
the Gnostic and stuff. No, go ahead. You did the OT thing. I'll be right back. I gotta let my dog in.
What are you
2
going to
seconds.
do?
I'm just gonna let my dog in. It'll take me 2 seconds or like
Okay.
a minute.
Okay. So basically, body thetans are, supposed to be spirits from another planet that Xenu, because of overpopulation, kicked off the planet. They came down to Earth and ended up, blown up through these volcanoes, and then their spirits got stuck on these sticky things, and then they got glued onto us. It's a very weird story, but the story in itself is so fucking weird, and it's on xenu.net if you ever want to see it. Wait, let me just see if it, I think, here it is. There you go. It's on xenu.net. And you can go on there and look up OT3 and it's on there. And you can read it and see it's just a really whacked out story. But it's supposed to be these spirits that are on you. So, what is that really? No. Are they spirits from an ancient alien race? Well, they were from Xenu, and he was on TGAC, which is another planet that Hubbard said mirrored Earth. So it looked
Sector
exactly like.
Zero, Planet New
Hmm?
Booby. Sector
What did?
Zero, Sector
Yeah,
Zero.
yeah. Anyway, so it's basically BS on top of BS. One of the
Right.
hardest things, this is the voice down under, one of the hardest things to heal from is shame. None of it was your fault. The whole of Lafayette's system was intricately designed up F, to F up people by breaking them down in every way, in my opinion. Okay.
Who said that?
Do you have anything to say on that?
Um, yeah, it's sort of well, it's different when it's somebody who experienced it. I totally concur with what you say, T, because you experienced it. So I think that is your reality and that's valid.
Who,
Um,
me or
no,
her?
the comment.
Oh,
Um, and I think that it's like when you grow up in it, it's like I always have so many thoughts on this. If anybody is a Gen X or even I guess a boomer, um, the comedian Steve Martin
hmm
did a bit, right? And he talked about if you have a kid and you teach him to talk wrong, right? He's like, what if you like every time you're around your kid, you just talked wrong, right? And then he's like, what if and it's the first day of school and he raises his hand and he's like, Mamu dog face to the banana patch? And they're like, oh my God, like get that kid out of here. Um, that's kind of what it's like growing up in Scientology, right? Is you in any high demand religious orientated group, um, is you are going to be, and I guess it speaks to like there's a premeditation at one point, but is it as evil as what it gets morphed into by the unwilling or unknowing? You know, and like, do we really think that people figure it out halfway and are like, ha, 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 I'm going to use this to my. It's like with DM. DM is under the curse of he will always be a true believer until he gets out or until he dies. He will be a true believer. And as long as he's in that mindset, he's going to reinforce his beliefs. It was like when all this was happening, like with the aftermath and all that. It was like I kept asking the question. So we would do it. It was happening back then. Good versus bad, heroes versus villains. It's all the old people that aren't me were like DM, 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 and it's like, well, then everybody's like, so then LRH was good. So LRH had the good plan, but DM tainted it by being what, the truest believer. And then if he got out, what is he supposed to do? Either shoot himself in the head or go directly to for what crimes? Like, this is where we get into the mud. Like it's
beyond the weeds.
Mud, because this is intentional.
That's what I'm saying. It's beyond the mud. It's beyond the weeds.
And so it kind of opens up that door of like, and it throw on the caveat is in Scientology, you can't just atone and pivot.
Right.
There's conditions, there's consequences for not being in normal operation or for being in normal operation too long.
Right.
You're in normal operation too long, you need to start applying emergency formula. Right? Like reinforce what got you there, right? Do produce and present it. And if your stats start to falter, then you go into danger.
And these are ethics conditions to anybody that doesn't know.
But that's the whole, like, that's what I'm like, that's the system that you learn. And that's the only way you know how to speak and you know how to interact. Getting yourself out of that without any other peer system or support is hard. It really is hard.
Yeah.
And even like I spent years going to therapists and they're like, wow, that's crazy. Like, what about this? So you did, and like I would spend multiple sessions explaining Scientology, the org board, and blah, blah, blah. And it was sort of okay, I guess. But after a while, I remember going to session and being like, so am I telling her what I want her to tell me? Or am, you know what like, because I'm like giving her all the, so I could tell her whatever I wanted to make me feel. And so after I was like, well, I can, if this is what self-soothing's like, I can do this without her.
Right.
You know? So it's like, and then you go to another one, and there weren't a lot of people that understood Scientology. Like, so it was a weird, so getting yourself out of that is extra hard.
Yeah.
And then when you go into the ex-Scientology space, it's always been this way since you got out. The XSO group. Did you hear about that? Does anybody know about the XSO group? No, you don't, because you weren't in the Sea Org and it's secret. It's been going on forever.
They have their own cult. This is my opinion, where it's like all the time, ex-Sea Org would say to me, oh, that's right, you were just public.
Right.
And I finally said to Spanky,
you're just public.
Saying that.
You just dock Spanky, Tori.
Huh?
You're like, you said nobody, and then you're like, and then I finally said to Spanky.
Pardon me?
Nothing. Go ahead. I know. It's always.
Her. I've talked about her before.
It was a joke, Tori.
All right. But anyway, she, I just said to anybody, I've said it to a number of different Sea Org guys, don't just say, flip off, oh, you were just public. Like, then that means you're still holding on to whatever it was that you were in, whatever position it was. And so often they'll start with, well, I was the DFP or the CFS, and it's
I know it. And that, you know what that does to people trying to heal is it makes it so that like, I can't talk I don't very often talk about what I did or where I was in the Sea Org.
Right.
Because it is sort of like the trauma Olympics of like, I was here, you like it sucks because that's not
That's
a
a
way.
good name.
It's not, well, and it's people have used it in like a bunch of crappy ways too. It's like this isn't a competition.
No.
Like, and then the people that are like, hey, I got something out of it and I don't care. Well, cool, this isn't your group then. Because we didn't. My dad's still in Scientology.
Yeah, my ex-husband is too.
So's my uncle. So's my cousins. So's my like,
Yeah, thankfully, I
right.
don't know all that.
I have like, last I counted, I have like 11 family members in Scientology.
Wow, I didn't know you had that many that were in.
Pretty crazy, right?
Wow, and
Well,
thank
let's see.
God you and your kids
3
aren't.
sisters, dad, mom, aunt, uncle, and their 2
Oh,
kids. Like, yeah, that's a lot. It's a freaking
that's
lot.
a lot. That's a lot. And they're
So
all where? Like what?
Florida, Oregon, Portland, um, West Coast and Florida, basically. That's everybody's like on
And do
one
you
or
think
the
they
other.
ever go on the internet or not?
No. I mean, I don't think so. No, I think a couple of my cousins are on Facebook or something like that. But it's just
Be
weird.
in
Like
touch with them.
even no, I no, they've like some of the cousins, they've only known me as a SP.
Oh,
So
well, you're
I'm
welcome.
this evil bad guy that is, so that's just that's the easy way when you're in the loop to be like, oh no, that person's antisocial. That person's this. And it's easy. So, it's that's how they do it. So
Yeah,
that's how they do it. But we live with it, right? And we're all living with this. Like, this is where it's like, how does you go into a space and you have um similar pain that you deal with, or similar like intense emotions that pull at you, right? And same with all these other people. Yet those people start hurting and attacking you for not understanding or caring or like, and it's like I get when people are wounded, but it's like when the Aftermath show happened. There were all these people that came down and were like, yeah, I want to tell my story and maybe my parents will talk to me, or like it went from like maybe my parents will talk to me or like communicate, or just maybe they'll just say hi. Maybe they'll just be like acknowledge that they're alive or acknowledge me as a person.
right.
And one for one, those people went down, told their story. What we saw on TV was this much.
Yeah,
They spent hours talking to A&E and to not just Mike and Leah, but to the producers. I know because we did 2 episodes almost. And then they were like, yeah, legal was like, we
me
can't.
too.
So it
Same
was the
thing.
same. And so it's like, it becomes this, just awful kind of, how do you deal with it? How do you be there for other people while they're kind of shitting on your experience, but asking you to provide help for the same thing you struggle with? Like, that's hard. And then we get all these third parties everywhere, like pointing out how bad this other person has. Like, you don't think we fucking know that? You don't think we know? Like, I live it. You want to understand what it feels like? I wish we could do a day. Like, you could jump into my head for a day.
Mm,
Anybody in these hanger-oners or whatever. Like, jump into one of our heads for the day and then let me hear you tell me all this other bullshit about my experience. Like, it's sort of, yeah. And Serge, I love Serge to death. I'm glad he took a break, and I hope he's healing as hard and as amazingly as he can. Because I spent a couple years getting yelled at, and I understood it. I wish I could have yelled at somebody, so I chose to be that person when I could. But it's hard when somebody doesn't want to heal. They just want to show you their pain,
right.
and they just want to scream at you and tell you how much pain, and you can't take it away. And you can't, all you can do is be like, I hope I can make it through this, and then decompress afterwards. And that's all you can do because you can't relate. It's just hard, right? So
Yeah, when Michael started attacking me like mad for about a half an hour, and I kept saying that's not true. It was like
right,
none of us who are public are going to pay thousands of dollars to have a teenager audit us. It just wasn't going to happen.
right. So wait
And
a minute.
and
You're saying that what Serge said wasn't true, or
no,
what?
I never met Serge. Serge wouldn't meet me. He wouldn't talk to me.
Right, right.
Michael came
Michael
running
came
down
in.
L. Ron Hubbard Way and started screaming at me about how I was personally responsible for Serge's pain. And I
Right,
said,
right,
"What are you talking about?" I mean, I didn't even hear Serge's name until maybe a week or two before that. I
right.
never knew him in Scientology. And Michael, I obviously didn't know because he wasn't in Scientology. So the only thing that finally got him to shut up was I said, "Do you know I have epilepsy?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Good. Then that conversation ends right here."
Right.
Because it's like you don't know anything about me. You're just assuming all this shit that you know nothing about.
Well, that's
So
sort
that's
of,
it.
but don't, like, I guess not internalizing that is hard. But that's, and I
You
don't,
weren't
with,
there. You weren't there. Believe me, the
I,
kids that were there went, "What the fuck was that?"
no, I get it.
I mean, it
It's
was
weird by proxy. It's weird. Like, trust me, I've talked to Serge. I guarantee you, Serge, unless he watches one of these videos, he doesn't know anything about me. He thinks I was an ethics officer in the CMO or some shit like that. He tells me who I was. He's never asked me. He
right.
tells me so it fits his narrative. And the only thing I can say to that is I understand because it's not about me. It's
No,
about
that's what
him
happened the
and his
next day.
overwhelm. It's not
I went
about
to meet I went to
right,
meet him and he started yelling at me the same thing. And at the end, I let him finish and then I said, "Thank you."
right.
And I said then that's a wrap. And basically saying if you want to talk, you call me because I'm not going to call you again. I came down to talk to you and you said, "No, I don't want to talk to you."
Right, right.
And you have all this things you
'Cause it's
know
hard.
about
I
me.
mean, and can you see where he's coming from?
It's very difficult for me. I can
So
I can say that I do, but I'm just saying I'm a big person on hear both sides. And when someone
right,
refuses to hear your side, if I started yelling at you and telling you that you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, and I never had met you, that's very hard for me to hear that and go,
well, what else
you know,
could it, I mean, so I get on the surface it looks like aggression and it looks like, but really it's maybe more of a cry for help. Maybe it's more of like I'm so overwhelmed that I'm going to like lash out at, and it's like trying to go out and swim somebody who's drowning, right? Like if you swim out to that person, more than likely you're going to die.
mm,
If you throw them a life preserver, then maybe they'll live and you definitely will live. And until they get to a point where they don't keep jumping in the water that they don't know how to swim in, we have to kind of sometimes be there to see through that. And the Michael thing is 100% inexcusable. Um Serge shouldn't have like leveraged that. Like if Serge had something to say, he should have said it. In my opinion, he should
that's the
have
way it is. Come over to my house. Say it to me. Don't
but at
don't
the same
say
time,
it
it
to
also
Mike.
speaks to the amount of pain and how much he's not willing or able to look at that yet with where he's at. So I hold a little more space and maybe understanding for not condoning at all because it's not acceptable. But I understand more and I would try to, that's why I would talk to Serge for hours and for years. And we haven't spoken in a while, and it's not because we are mad at each other. I think it was just a lot with YouTube, and we were both on the board together. And it was,
Was he on the board with you?
yes, yeah, he was.
Oh.
And it was one of those where it was a one-way flow, and that was okay. It just was hard to knowing every time I spoke to him that was going to be what happened. And I
Right.
kept hoping that it would be something different, but at the same time, it wasn't. And so you kind of have to just be there comfortably and confront. It's sort of take that, Oso. That was Scientology as F.
Here you go. All right, here's from JB808. Question: what is the root of Scientology's belief regarding responsibility and blaming yourself for all your actions? Is it part of their manifestation and brainwashing technique? And if so, how?
What is the root of Scientology's belief for your responsibility? Blaming. So your responsibility for your own condition, right? And a thetan mocks up their space and their condition, right? Because a thetan is, they basically play games. That's what they like to do. So as a thetan, life is kind of a game. And the ultimate goal of a thetan or a being is to survive. And there are 8 urges towards survival. They are the dynamics. So part of this cycle of blaming yourself is put into action by doing things called like admin scales, or I think in like the real world is like, oh no, maybe this is Scientology. Shit, I hate when I do that. It might be the real world, it might be Scientology, I don't know. But it's like, what can I take responsibility for, and what do I feel effect of? Right? Like, and you make a list of what you can be responsible for, or what you're willing to be responsible for, and what you feel effect of. And so there's a lot of those kind of things. There's so it's not blaming yourself, because it all can be handled through Scientology. This is where big league sales comes in. It's always a pyramid scheme. So you learn through ethics, through morals, through integrity, of what responsibility, and they have, of course, the KRC and the ARC triangle, which are also ways to keep you, hey, if I don't have knowledge, then I don't have responsibility and I don't have control, right? If I don't have affinity and reality and communication, I don't have understanding. So you're always trying to fix those things, and you're always trying to find an ideal scene and be uptoned. So blaming yourself is actually very low toned, and probably isn't something that you would do as a Scientologist ever.
But they do it all the time. So he's
Well,
right on.
they
And
do
I
it.
know from having seizures and coming out of a seizure and having people say, you are low responsibility. If you handled that, you won't have seizures. That's
Right.
blame. That's flat out blame. And that happened
Blaming,
all
how is
over
that
for 30
blaming
years.
yourself? How is that blaming yourself?
It wasn't blaming myself. I'm just saying that kind of puts in an action where I can see where some people would buy that. I didn't. I was like, fuck you. I'm not creating these seizures. I'm not.
Right, right.
And
Well, and
luckily my mom was there saying, Tory, it's a physical condition. It's not a psychosomatic illness.
right.
And
When
that
that,
helped
so
a lot.
psychosomatic illnesses, overt motivator sequences,
Right.
those are ways that you blame yourself for your actions. Is if something bad happens, then it's like, did I withhold something? Did somebody withhold something? That's where the PTSSP, the potential trouble. So you spot people with these outpoints or these characteristics. They always speak in generalities. Do they always do, like, so you look for all these things to spot somebody, but that's evaluating for somebody, right?
I
But
know
you
it's
don't,
so weird because they
right?
said
So
they
it kind
don't.
of it becomes, and that's what I think, it's enough to where you can't think through it easily. And if you start to, they go like, wait, nothing to see here. Come over here. What, we can help you with that. What is your PTP, right? What is your potential or your
Present time problem.
present time problem? Thank you. And that's where, so they'll distract you. And one of the things that the CIA did, and you should know this, you're a CIA operative, is they took the Alice in Wonderland, the TRs, some of the TR drills, right? And they implemented them to part of their CIA programming.
Really?
Yeah, it's on the internet. You can look it up.
Wow.
And I think they call it something in Wonderland, but the premise behind it was to use all these phrases and stuff out of the book, Lewis Carroll's book, and you get a person to where they're overwhelmed, and right after overwhelm is when they're susceptible to any kind of, so interesting in Scientology, right? Because a lot of the drills and a lot of the stuff leads you to overwhelm, and then what do they put in? Commands. And then what do they do when they CS, right? They take lists of commands that are supposed to read, and then they tailor them to you and your overwhelm. And so you're now more susceptible to the brain, right. And then you're more susceptible. So this was taken from Scientology, what the CIA did. And they used it to brainwash and manipulate people, because you put them in a sense of overwhelm, and then you're able to put hypnotic suggestions, etc., into them.
Right.
So,
but when you're in, you don't know that.
Well, but you're conditioned. This is where you do know it, because they talk about it. So what's the first thing I learned as a child? Like, I was young,
wait,
3, 4.
You knew that the tech was brainwashing?
No. That's not what I said. We learn about the analytical and the reactive mind.
Right.
And we learn that the analytical mind is on all the time, and it records everything. But anytime there's a moment of what?
Unconsciousness.
Pain or something, right? That triggers, your reactive mind turns on and starts recording all of that information. Right? So this is kind of how this cycle goes, right? So you start thinking about file clerks, and you start thinking about time tracks, and you start thinking about all this stuff in multiple lifetimes. And I mean, Dianetic auditing, you go back multiple lifetimes all the time. Is there an earlier similar incident? Great, go to the beginning of that incident and work through it. Like, so there you go. I don't know if that answered your question, but that was a good ramble. So call that one.
All right, we already answered the one about Tyler. Dylan, what were your thoughts on the infiltration of CST done by Tyler?
Yeah, we answered that.
Answered that. Okay, the next one is Lolo says, does anyone remember Tom Pedersen in auditor number 149? He's listed clear under 2 different numbers. Tom Thomas at AOLA in the 70s.
Oh, my God.
I have 2 people have my clear number. Me and somebody else.
Oh, really? They redid it?
It's just, I found they did a list, and some guy, they have the numbers, and I was like, wait a minute, that's my clear number. And it was,
like,
they didn't redo it. They just left it the way it was. So we both have the same clear number. I always thought clear was bullshit anyway, so I didn't care.
It's funny. Growing up, and I believed all that. Like, you were talking about the net nanny thing in the beginning. And when I was a kid, we used to get the Oakland Tribune every day. And I would run down to the mailbox every single day in the morning and evening. My grandfather had it. And I remember when the OT3 materials came out, my dad wouldn't let me run down to the mailbox.
It came to your house?
The Oakland Tribune in, I think it was like 80.
Posted it.
Yeah, posted it in the paper, and he wouldn't let me run down and get it. Because I mean, my grandfather had been in, my dad, my uncle. So it was like, they're like, no, don't. And I remember seeing like the paper and like looking at it on the table, like, oh my God, it's there. And so it was, yeah, it was a little different.
A little different.
Well, and then when I was in the so I grew up with that idea, right, of like OT3 will kill you. And it was real to me. It was real. Like you would die of pneumonia or something. It would just be way out reality, right?
Right.
So I'm in the Sea Org and I'm doing FPRD, which is false purpose rundown auditing. And we're doing like past life stuff. And I was in the middle of an auditing session. I was like, it's sort of like I kind of just made all this stuff up and it seems really silly. Like I don't need to do it.
Right.
And they're just like, what? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, and then she's like, my needle just like full floating TA. Like
Right.
he's trying to catch up with it. And for a week, nobody could do anything with me. I was just, because I was like in this, I was busy. I was working. I was trying to get my stats up and not go to the RPF. That was my goal. And it
Right.
was like, that's when I kind of had I was like, oh, this is what, like, Sea Org members are OT. We can do it. Like, there's nothing we can't confront. There's nothing like in Scientology's definition. That's what most, like, well, at the time it was in the messenger org, but like the way we ran and worked and did was like, this is what he's talking about. It's not all these people in the HGC sitting there paying their money, still wallowing and going through their problems. It's these people that are like, we don't have case. We don't have this. We don't got time for that. Make it go right. 100% command intention, tone 40. And
that's why I did the training route for that reason. Because I didn't want to be a public paying PC. So I co-audited with someone.
Right. That makes sense.
All the way for a lot of it.
So either way, it was like, it was strange like I didn't even know that was the clear cog until they put me on the CCRD. Right, which is the clear certainty rundown is what CCRD is.
Right.
And I was like, whoa. And then they made me do the Purif again. And then that was another thing. I was like, I've never taken drugs. I'm 16 years old now. And this is the second or third time I've done the Purif. I'm like, is it because of all the niacin I started taking when I was like 6? Is that why? Like we used to take handfuls of vitamins, like every day, B, A, D, multi minerals, CalMag, niacin. Oh man, that you talk about trauma. What nobody talks about, what most kids, and I don't want to. This is just my experience, Tori, but most kids, that was worse than anything. Like that's worse than like doing something terrible and knowing you're going to get in trouble. Holding on to those pills and taking them and knowing you're going to get a stomach ache and feel vomity and then have your body start reacting to nice and doing it every day for.
Why were you taking niacin when you were so young?
Because that's what you crazy parents did. I'm getting Michael to yell at you, Tori. But no, that's not what all of them did. Yeah, a lot of them did that. A lot of them were pretty freaking hardcore. Like they were hardcore. I think if they were on mission staff and org staff, they were more hardcore than if they were just public. But
I started at ASHO, so I was like,
you didn't make your kid take vitamins or CalMag or anything?
Fuck no.
CalMag? You never make him take CalMag?
No.
I'm right.
That's why when Michael started saying this stuff that we all did, I was like, I didn't do that. It's like
you should have asked questions, not made statements, right? That would have been way better. He
wouldn't shut up. I couldn't ask questions. There wasn't a second to stop and say.
Well, do you know what he
would?
The
only question I asked was, "Do you know I have epilepsy?" That was the one thing I slid in there, and he said no, and I said, "Good." Then the conversation ends right here.
Right.
And I didn't care what he thought. I figured he can figure it out himself. Okay, so here's the thing for you, Dylan. It's lovely to see you again. This is by YouTube watcher Jane. I love your profile pictures in YouTube. Are they I think you draw. Are they your drawings? Okay, if so, do you regularly draw? I would imagine it could be therapeutic. Did you
Um,
leave those up?
no, I
Oh,
deleted everything. Um,
oh,
yeah, they some of it was my art. I do draw. I used to do pointillism a lot. Um,
which is what?
when you draw with just dots.
Oh,
I have a bunch of art books that I drew. I spent a lot of time. That was kind of like when it's a good way to spend hours sort of decompressing, I guess, and
sure,
like focusing
sure.
that way. So yeah, I've done a lot of that. It's hard with the even that, like it's hard with the art thing because my whole family are artists and musicians. And
Oh,
so even like I've always been told my whole life that I'm naturally artistic, but I've tried to focus that into like construction and things like that because it just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth
mm.
about like I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure it's something that I haven't dug deep enough to look at, but um it's just I've ridged against being an artist for a long time, and that's just
Well,
how it
Mr.
is.
Anonymous has a question for you. Why?
Because I think well, a lot of my family were like they chose to be starving artists.
No,
And
I understand.
so it was like I didn't want to feel I knew that growing up and it felt like such a deception.
Mm.
Like it was such a great artistic cool scene and then when you taint it with Scientology, it's like ugh. Like they preyed on those people. They preyed on musicians and artists and
Oh yeah, for sure.
good
No
people.
question.
That's it's
No,
like
yeah,
it's like what Janice is like Yvonne, right? Like
yeah,
she started celebrities and with there's advices, there's int advices that talk about using celebrities to forward
sure.
Scientology.
Oh yeah, for
They're just
sure.
meat bodies to do their work. It's nothing. Do you think Janice could be a good bridge between her age group of X's and the younger second, third gens as in validating the similarities and importantly the difference in experiences of children? Um, you know, that is a tough one. Short answer, no. Um, long answer, yeah, it's way if God, if you chat box people, if you only knew the real behind the scenes stuff about all this, it
Who's
would
saying
freak
this?
everybody out
Who's
100%.
saying this?
What?
What? Where are you reading that?
Oh no, I'm not reading anything.
Oh, you're
I just
just saying if you only knew.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Dylan did this. You know some of the inner workings, Tori.
Of what?
Dare we name names like KDLC and things. You know all the inner stuff. You know
I
not
don't know
all of
who
it, but you know a lot of
KDLC
it.
is.
Huh?
I don't know
You
who
know who
KDLC.
yeah, you do.
Who is it?
Karen?
Oh, his nickname is KDLC.
No, Karen. You know who Karen is? Jeff's wife?
Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, she vanished, kind of, right?
No, I'm just saying it speaks to a lot of this. It's a lot more convoluted. It's not as one-sided as everybody likes, even though I'll like the second gens and third gens haven't maybe we haven't repped ourselves very well in general. But
An
um
understatement.
but neither of the first gens and the OGs. So,
I know.
everybody
It's
can
like
go
we're
fuck
all.
themselves as far as I'm concerned.
But you know what it reminds me of is epilepsy because everybody could see that I had seizures. So everybody would talk about my case all the time.
Right.
Whereas I started realizing you all have the same shit. It's just we can't see it. It's not a physical limitation. So,
Right.
it's your own whatever you have, but everybody pretends like they don't have anything. But Tori, have you handled epilepsy yet? Has such and
Well,
such handled it? Did it fix it? It was like I finally got the tech sec of ASHO. I called him and I said, "Look, I can't handle this anymore. These people are
right,
constantly barraging me about this, and it pisses me off. So I'm going to give them your phone number. You give me your phone number. They can call you and you tell them about my case." And he
right.
said, "Okay." And so we had that system. Nobody ever called him, not one person.
Yeah, no, I believe that for
So then
sure.
when I got the flag, the same thing happened. So I got the guy at flag at the DFP and said, "Same thing. Give me your phone number." And I said, "I'll have him call you." And he said, "Okay." Nobody ever called him.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
But
I think
everybody's got shit. You know what I mean? It's like to pretend you don't. It's like, come on.
well, I think
You know,
that's the biggest red flag if you start looking if you look at across all the people that have presented themselves in this space. There's a few people that have been like, yeah, I never believed that shit. I just needed like 3 hots and a cot, you know? And it's like, okay, that's why you've spent the last like 17 years only focused on that and talking about it and alienating people and keeping secrets and like say, like kind of miss me with that. Like
yeah.
I understand. That's where it's like even like all the big int execs that left that put themselves in this like big mysterious place. I was in a higher org than those guys. I saw exactly what they did every single day.
I know.
Like, and I'm not sitting here trying to go blow and play all these. I do not like the cloak and dagger part. I do not think it's healthy. I don't think I think even people disappearing and not being not if you put yourself in a position of helping people and being a safe place and landing, you need to be and do better all the time. And if you can't, like, here's one thing I'll put out there. The
Well,
fact that
finish that
these
sentence. And if you can't, what?
that's what this is. If you can't, then this is what needs to happen. What needs to happen is these people, that sounds racist, right? And they're all white, so I guess it's not. Um, the Aftermath, the SPTV Foundation, and for that matter, any foundations that do this kind of work in the future, the way you guys started out, great. Now, put yourself back, become a steering committee, and put qualified fucking people on your boards. Bar none. Everybody. Stop putting all these fucked up exes that have no intention of healing or that are trying to heal and then have suicidal ideation, whatever.
Ideals.
Yeah, that's
Ideals.
not it, but that's what needs to happen. If we were really trying and geared towards helping people, we wouldn't be the last line. We would immediately acknowledge that we're not qualified. I knew that going into it. I knew what I wanted to do was be an advocate only for people.
Right.
I didn't want to be the main, like, oh, you're coming to me for money. Let me see if I can approve you or not. Because I've seen that. I've seen what happens to people. And the Aftermath did it when Aaron and Lewis were a chart. And they said no to a lot of people that really needed it. And they don't talk about
Really?
that, do they? Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And did they help some people? Sure. And did they do the best they can? Yeah. But they're fucking ex-cult members. You know how I know? Because I'm one.
Hmm.
So recognize your role, be a steering committee, and be like, you know what? I can relate to everything those people are going through. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm not qualified to put myself into that space and that position. Because people need more than I can give. Because I'm one of them trying to heal. And a lot of those people, up until even recently, Claire Headley, those people, not Mark's never tried to heal. At least Claire's going to therapy.
Mm.
But you don't think there's like a little this on that. I've done interviews with Claire. They said they cared about me. They said they loved me. As soon as they found out I was on the SPTV board, crickets. They wouldn't talk to me. I was dead to them. They fed information to a person who published attack things on me. And instead of apologizing, they said, I can't apologize for something I didn't do. I didn't think that they would actually use those texts that I gave them that were personal
Oh,
between
come
me.
on. They give texts?
But that's Scientology, right? So instead
But we're
of being
not in
butthurt and going
Scientology.
out and screaming from and this and that and trying to shit all over the little help that people are, because really when it comes down to it, for hurt people that have never done anything to help themselves other than make money and do Sea Org shit, that's good. They're trying to help. I support that. But let's evolve. Let's not just be like status quo. Like, great, you started it. God bless America. It was like Aaron. Like when Aaron was leaving the foundation, he was actively calling people like me and being like, I told them I'd leave. I had no fucking intention to do it. They're going to have to kick me out. And I was like, huh, okay. And then when they did, it was like, right. And then they did it. And then he was like, oh, they kicked me out. That was my foundation. I can't believe it. And that's where and I was like, well, dude, you kind of brought it a fucking upon yourself, bro. Like, and I'm sure his narrative will be different because he was this and so, but he straight up said, he said it in enough video. Like I said, watch these people and they'll tell you exactly who they are.
Right.
And that's just, it sucks, but it is what it is. And that's what I'm saying. Like, great ideas, poor execution. Good start, terrible finish.
Right.
Like, your change sucks. Like, start it, great. Anybody can. Let's make fun of people. Oh, you think you can start your own foundation? Fucking do it, dumbass. Like, that helps what? You're the voice. Oh no, I'm not. That was me being my personal figure, not my public figure. Okay, like what? Like, even nobody asked me about putting my YouTube channel on a foundation page. I wasn't asked about that. That was just done. And we were told about it.
Your
When
YouTube
the
channel?
Foundation started, they took every board member and linked their YouTube page directly to, which was weird because it's like, you're now insinuating that we're all monetized and we're doing like, no, we're cannon fodder. We're basically being like put in the way so that, the arrows hit us, not further down the line.
Right.
So either way, it's a fucked up, weird space that not a lot of people are healing. Some people are. There's looky-loos. There's freaking true crime people. There's genuine people that care and can relate and have similar trauma and are probably on paths where they're like, I get it. I have tools in my toolbox, but I need peers to help me get good at these tools.
Right.
They're rudimentary to me, and I need them to function properly. And I need other people to be like, oh, hey, that one, you got to do this. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. Those people get drowned out in all this bullshit. And here we are fighting back and forth, doing all this, and all under the guise of like, well, what we really need to do? We need to get back to what we're all here for. Like, no, like, I'm not here to. So, and then I'm not a true X or a true fighting Scientology unless I protest.
I never said that.
No, I know you didn't, Tori. None of this is geared at you, Tori.
Most of the people here don't believe that. So they're
but this is the space we inhabit.
But I'm just saying, this space here, these people don't think that. I don't believe. And if they do, step up and say it. But I don't think they do. Everybody really likes you here. We want you back. We want you.
I'm not gone. I'm just taking, like, this is me walking through life intentionally.
No, you can't do that.
So here, I'll tell you about.
I'm kidding.
I'll tell you about, like, so the BlowDrill thing, that page started. I'd had YouTube, I'd spoken out for a long time, and I rebranded when all this started. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to do what everybody thinks I'm going to do. No, I'm not going to do the monetization. I'm not going to do all that. I just wanted to speak my piece and say my thing. And still I got attacked, and that's fine. I don't really care. Like by people that were never in, that say they're the most like best thing to Scientology, but they're attacking everybody and script. Like it's that's the part of this that if we all speak about it. Okay, I was talking about my channel, and I'm trying not to talk about it. I will. The BlowDrill thing was that, and then I decided that this was all tainted in like dark energy. And so then I was like, well, I'm gonna do like first generation free, was my thought. So I'm first generation free from all this, not second gen, not this, that, this. And then I'm like, this is still just part of this whole fucking thing. Right? It's not like I'm breaking free from breaking free, like, like, no. And I was like, honestly, if that's right, like, this is just bad. This isn't dirty. This is an ugly, dark space. I'm sorry, but that's what it is right now. And there's people at work doing it. And not only if it was just a few people doing it, like when it all first, like kind of a couple years ago, when it was the three amigos in our heyday before the keyboard warriors and all the bad things, I guess it would be different, but it's not. It would be obvious who the bad actors were, and it kind of was back then. And then we started going on these witch hunts of like, who can be most integrity and most good. Well, this person posted on a right-wing forum. Oh, this person liked Antifa. Well, we hate, let's start. And it's like, well, there's society kind of saying, oh, we can do cancel culture. Let's go into a vulnerable X community and start and it's hard when you are vulnerable. That's sort of threatening to some people. When you're showing vulnerabilities, that can be very threatening to somebody who's terrified of doing that. And then on the same token, antisocial personality disorder or any kind of narcissistic personality disorder, they don't care whether it's good energy or bad energy. It's just a fuel to them. So if I say something and I can get you to react positive or negative, I don't give a fuck. As long as you react, it gives me my fuel and I'm good. And I'll go to the next one. Right. And then there's people that just like to troll for lulz. And they just like to go into a chat and just be like, oh, hey, did you hear about RIP this person? And people are like, what? And they go online and they look around and right. It's just there. So without us being like setting up safeguards or anything, and now fighting and attacking, it's like, it's sort of, for me, it's not a space I want to dwell in for my mental health, for sustaining my mental. This isn't a necessary for like my trauma. My young Dylan is just fine because he has a warrior protecting him.
Okay.
And I have two boys to raise. So young Dylan and me, we're second, third down the list, and that's totally okay with us. So I think that's where it's like, this isn't, if I can be a positive influence, I'm totally down. Right. But if I'm not going to sit here on my channel and start talking to me like, hey guys, like, and it looks, with my history, that's kind of every video I've done with you, I've never streamed on like, I didn't really lose much other than just, I gained freedom. Like that's more of what it was. So I can still talk to people.
Yeah.
When I choose to. And they can put on their channel and they can do it. I'm totally down to support you. Like, subscribe, give Tory freaking boatloads of money. Give Nora boatloads of money. Give fucking everybody who needs money. Give it. If you can give it and you don't need it and you're not going to be pissed about it, give it. Like, don't make money a button. You know what I say? Let's all make enough money where none of that matters. Now let's take money out of the equation. Now what? Now we're just
started
humans.
it when I didn't make. I remember DOA when he first came over to my house, and he said, "You've made over 1,000 videos, and you haven't made a dime in 24 years." And he got on his phone and talked to his people and said, start giving this woman money now. You know, it was incredible.
That's
I
just
think I
weird.
made $295 in about 15 minutes. It was like, wow, I'd never seen anything like it.
Scotty Hostetler needs to fuck off into the forever.
I
He
know,
needs to
it's too
find
bad.
another place to go spread his vile crap.
Yeah,
He
no, I
needs to
know. I'm
just
just telling you
seriously
a
move
positive thing
on.
that happened.
He doesn't
He's
belong
got.
here. He's not welcome here. He needs to go away big
I
time.
know. I know. I agree with you on that, and I think he is. Now, Style Audit L or one. I think it's Style Audit 1A. I think it is. Can you read that? It's a
Tori, you have the natural openness to be able to meet people where they are at, as the saying goes.
well, that's good.
I
Thank
agree.
you. All right, thank you. And then here's one from One Love, 51,000. Dylan, your voice is so valuable. I hope you always find a way to share your story. Find the good spaces. That's good.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, honestly, after tonight, you guys probably won't hear from me again. Like maybe.
ever?
Well, I mean, we talk. This is just so all you guys watching, whoever, if there's anybody even in here watching, um, this is
There's
like a
80
normal.
people.
This is kind of a normal Tori and I conversation. So will that continue? Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay, good,
yeah.
good.
But
But
it's not.
publicly,
I don't
you
mind
won't.
going into it and being like when Jenny was doing, like, if it's a place to help and heal and even hold space. I would love to see like panels where people could come up and talk for a few minutes on the topic and just really like nurture a oneness to where we can um help each other, like kind of help support a little bit and not just make it this one way thing. I love being in the chats when I was in the chats, but it's very bumpy and hard and you don't know who you're this or somebody saw you in that, or it's like, so something happened. Maybe I should say this, but
What
it's
happened?
the other day I was in, so Aaron did a video, right? This was where I was finally like, this is stupid. I got home, I turned on my YouTube. I don't have any like TV. I just use streaming stuff. And a video from Aaron came on. I was like, oh, what's this? And he's talking about his apology to Scott. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then it was not an apology. It was like a whole crappy, like weird thing. And then so later on, I'm not subscribed. I wasn't subscribed to hardly anybody. But I think that's more videos pop up when you're not. And Scott's video, he was live. So I clicked on his and I was like, God, I've been blocked in his chat since he like completely attacked me like 8 months ago. Right. Like in this weird, like when I get attacked, it's way different. I'm like toxic positivity and, oh, like Marilyn shames me for like using Maya Angelou quotes and then claiming how I upset her somehow. And how is that Maya Angelou? Like, it's really a weird flow to like, wow, you're attacking somebody's healing. Like, do you ever think that maybe my native state is like an Aaron, like was like that? And you have to kind of wax enthusiasm and fake it until you make it in order to heal some of this shit. Otherwise, you just keep with those attack thoughts, those negative attack thoughts, and nobody wants to be around somebody with negative attack thoughts. Nobody. So when you stop thinking those and you stop processing those and you start waxing that enthusiasm, it's weird. People want to start being around you a little bit more, and they can be like, "Wow, you're leading with healing and understanding, not negative attack thoughts."
Right.
Right. So it was, so I, either way, and I said a few things and then they attacked me for being toxic positive, this and that. Well, I said the first thing I said,
What
because I
does
thought
that mean? Toxic positive.
toxic positivity is where you refuse to deal with any of your emotions and you're just like, no, everything's great. Oh no, I'm fine. It's like, it's just projection on those people's parts. I don't take it personally. It's just stupid. But the thing about it is the first thing I said, thinking I was blocked, I was like, I left my wallet in El Segundo, because he was talking about Orange County or something, right? And it's a song. It's I left my wallet in El Segundo. And so I made the comment, and then somebody said something that gave me the idea that I wasn't blocked. And I was like, oh, interesting. So as I'm typing this, like, hey, thanks for playing, but you can move on and nobody really wants you here. Like, you're kind of hurting more than you're helping. I get a text from somebody who's like, are you in Scott's chat? Did you just say? And I was like, yeah, I said that. And then it was like, attack. And now I'm this evil person, no matter how long I've known this person, right?
The Scientology, CIA.
Right. Well, and it was like, and there was nothing I could say to this person. I was like, no. Right. I tried to call them. They wouldn't answer.
Wow.
Right. And then I texted more and they were just, I can't believe it. And they just had to vilify. And I was like, wow.
That's so weird. And this is a person you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was weird. And that's when I was like, I get it. Even the people that need the most help that you've only ever supported, you've only ever showed love and acceptance to. And I pointed it out to this person. I was like, it's not lost on me that you're in this chat monitoring everyone. And if anyone speaks up, you're attacking them and vilifying them, but you're make that make sense.
Yeah.
And the conversation was over. Because, right, it doesn't make sense because you're in there monitoring everything. And if somebody goes in there and actually communicates and says, hey, dude, like, kick rocks.
Right.
You're the bad guy because you're in there, but you're in there monitoring everywhere, just like Aaron does. Just like when we were in the freaking board together, his comments were always like, oh yeah, this person, that block. I was his moderator for a long time. He just made me that without even me asking.
Right.
So for all his chats, I was his moderator. He would be like in their mod chat. It was crazy. Like, I ended up leaving the mod chat because it was so freaking toxic. Yeah. And it was just block. I was his mod on the Aftermath Facebook group that had like 40-something thousand members. And there'd be all this like upheaval, and I'd be like writing responses to try to talk to people. Right. And like communicating, and we'd have like threads going, and they're like, and we're talking about, and we're getting somewhere. And I go to hit respond, and it's like threads deleted. And I'm like, and I've been sitting there for like an hour. And I'm like, what the like, what? And then I call in, I'm like, hey, is there something? He's like, yeah, I deleted it. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't care. He's like, when you see that, just delete it. I was like, but no, these are people that want to, like, these are real people. Then we can like commute. And so I feel I apologize for continuing with that thinking. Or maybe I imbued myself with a sense of self-righteousness but I thought I could maybe influence it in a better way.
Right.
I thought maybe I could get him to see that that's not like, okay, that's cool. But look, I'm talking to people, and we're communicating, and we're resolving these, and this is good. This is interaction.
Yeah, sure.
And no, it was just delete, and it kept going. And I'm like, wow, okay, so now you've seen that, and I've said this to you, and you still do that. Got it. So then I left being I was an admin of that. I could have deleted the whole group. But I left because I was like, no, this isn't a space for me. And it's not like, this isn't like, oh, hey, let's do this. Oh no, I'm leaving. No, I try. It's multi-pronged. Like, I don't just give up. I continue to try until I realize that when somebody's dedicated to misunderstanding you, nothing gets in. And you stop trying because it's not worth it. So that's kind of that's sort of how the name thing evolved and how I sort of delete, because anything, even any incarnation of it is going to be still that. And so to me, it's like this space just isn't a space that I want to define myself like that in.
I hear you.
And that's pretty simple. And I don't like I said, if anybody has a problem with me, I guess my name and my address is on the internet. Come and fucking find me.
All right. Well, here's from Looped Tape. Dylan sending love and support. I can hear the progress you've made through hard, intensive healing work. Our world is better because you chose to stay in it. Thank you for being here, and sharing.
I
I
appreciate
agree.
you.
I think
I do.
that's true.
Appreciate
I
you.
really do. Thank you, Luke Tape. And it is. I feel lucky to know you. I always have. I told you that. Even though I
Well,
couldn't remember your story when I first met you. But that was just because I was talking to everybody
it was
all
like
day, all
for
night.
the first 5 years that you met me, Tori.
Hey, come on. It wasn't the first 5 years. It wasn't. It probably felt like it. All right, now the Journey 2020 says, question, does anyone know or know someone that can talk about wise companies, contract, and percentage going to Scientology? LA Times in 1990 published an article that quoted wise comps give 13%. Well, I worked at a few wise companies. Do you want to mention it? Do you know much about it?
I know about Wise Int.
There you go.
And I know about all the management groups of these groups.
Well, I'll tell you, the last wise company I worked at, they were all highly trained managed OT8s that worked there. And they basically brought in this guy. What happened was Harvey Schmidecki bought a Jeep and brought it in. And at the end of the week, he said, sorry, it was a brand new Jeep. He said, sorry, we can't pay any of you this week. We don't have any money. So my friend and I wrote up a thing to him saying, look, this is bullshit. We worked all week. We want to get paid. So they bring in this guy and he says, I'm Kakan. I can do whatever I want. I say, what does that mean? He goes, well, I can do what I want. I can say what I want.
Right.
All the way up line, they're gonna back me. So I'm like, okay, this guy's a jackass as far as I'm concerned. But okay. So he starts in, he has to have a meeting with me right away. They did a survey, and on it, my friend and I said, if we work a week, we want to get paid for a week. And so he does a whole thing, brings it in. What about my son? This and that. I'm like, what does my fucking son have to do with me working at this company? It was very weird. Anyway, long story short, they just third-partied me to death, to where they were all against me. They had a committee of evidence without ever letting me tell my side. I went in to see Craig Ferrara, who was the partner, and I said, look, this is ridiculous. This is totally out tech. He said, well, write it up to me. I'll handle it tomorrow. So my friend and I stayed up all night writing it per policy. This is the policy. This is what they did. This is the policy. This was violated.
Right.
Went to turn it in the next day. They had all, and I'm not exaggerating, shoulder to shoulder OT8s all the way in front of the parking lot. I was not allowed to get in to the building.
Right.
I said, what the hell is this? They said, you have to go upstairs and talk to the guy that was the Kakan guy. So I go upstairs, and I had heard about the Guardian's office, all their shit that they did years ago.
Right.
And I walk in, it's an empty room, one table, one tape recorder, one chair, and the guy sitting there. And he goes, have a seat. And he starts in screaming at me, what are your overts? What are your crimes? And I said, here's what I have to say to you and the tape recorder. Fuck you. And I walk out. I went down to Harvey, who was a big, big guy. And he goes, "You're in a lower condition." And I
Harvey
said, "You know
Jakes?
what?
Is that him?
Huh?
Harvey Jakes?
No, Harvey Schmidecki.
I don't know.
They were survival strategies, and then they came up with this body balance for performance as a con to make money,
Okay.
and for golfing, and how physical therapists could help you golf better. And he ended up dying, I think. But anyway, he said, "You're in a lower condition." And I said, "All right, and here's what I have to say to your lower conditions." And this was really the beginning of me waking up. I said,
Right.
"Fuck you." And I walked out. That was it. And and all these people in here, you're highly trained management people, you totally violated the policies, completely gave a finger to LRH, and you're trying to pretend like you're consultants. Shame on all of you. It was just like disgusting to me. And it was really the beginning of my, I mean, my waking up was a long process, but
Right.
it was a big part of it. It really was. It took me years to figure out what happened.
It's funny all the misunderstandings on Kakan. Um, Kakan was actually a really like coveted status in the Sea
I
Org for
know.
a long time, and then in the 80s it went away. Like
Right.
at that point, like even there's a policy that talks about affluent missions. Like if you're assigned affluence on your mission after you've completed it and after the time, you are pretty much, you have like ethics protection, right? And that's kind of the step below Kakan is ethics protection. Like if your
Right.
stats are so far, like you can't really be assigned conditions, you really can't. So that went away a lot, but that was still around. Like the last person that I knew that had Kakan status was John Lundeen. I was a
Mm.
messenger for John Travolta, and he never had Kakan status. But when he
Right.
came to Flag, he always had messengers. He always had messengers around him doing stuff, and I was assigned to him for a few times.
Right.
Um, so
And Wise, we did try to write it up to Wise Int, and they didn't give a shit. And I realized, of course, they don't, because every one of the Wise companies does pay a percentage to
right.
Wise Int.
Yep,
So they didn't
for
give a
sure.
shit about,
No. You
okay,
pay
it's
for the usage of the books and the LRH material. It's all done that way. And even with Wise, they're an entity like Able got put under CST, like all the Able buildings owned by the Church of Spiritual Technology, but
right.
Wise and all that is still in the HGB. So all
Really?
that's still under the CSI umbrella because that got moved there when they used to be in LA. That's where Smiant, Able, Wise,
Right.
or all downtown. So, um, and then I see a question. YouTube watcher says, Dylan, do you think sports like rugby helped you recover or transition from Scientology? I played rugby prior, during the Sea Org, and after. So maybe, I don't know. But I played rugby in the Sea Org. We started a team and we played the local Florida teams. So there's that.
All right. And Janet from another planet asked, how did I have the money for all of these courses? Well, first of all, I co-audited the lower bridge. Remember, it's a triangle. So the lower bridge, I co-audited. That meaning you don't have to pay that much because you just pay for CSing. So, it's like Dylan audits me, I audit him. We just keep auditing each other and get it done. So it didn't cost that much money.
It's
Then Clear,
right.
um, Arthur Hubbard took me out to lunch and asked me about my story, and I told him, and he said, "Then you," and this is before
Then
this
you're
word, I'd
clear,
never
right?
heard this
All
word.
you
And
afterlife
he said,
clears,
he
fakers.
said, "You're a last lifetime clear. You were working with my dad. That's it." And I just went, "Okay, that's it." Because I
Right.
looked at a lot of the clears, and none of them ever seemed to follow the original definition of a perfect memory, a perfect IQ, no somatics, no pains. They all had
Right.
bunches of that. So I thought, this is a bunch of crap.
I
So
think
anyway,
with the Kakan thing, I'm pretty sure it's a Sea Org only thing. So I know that Jeff Pomerantz in the 80s was like a secret Sea Org member. There was a bunch of celebrities that kind of got enticed to sign Sea Org, but they were too important as a celebrity, so they couldn't activate their Sea. So I guess there's a way that they could be Kakan, but it's a Sea Org thing. It's not a science. It's not a public thing. They would even know what the fuck you're talking about if you said it, because they don't get a sign. It's not. It has nothing to do with going up the bridge. It's a total internal staff thing. The whole Kakan, even getting assigned affluence or missions or any, that's all staff Sea Org shit.
Right. And Nora knows that I love this combo. And Peter Anderson says, question, yeah, are either of you planning on attending HowdyCon in 2026? Do you have any thoughts about the event? I think I'd love to go. I just really can't afford it at this time. But
okay, guys, hear that? Pay for Tory to go to HowdyCon.
No.
Why not?
No. Because I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm working on that is around that time. It's like kind of medical stuff that I'm doing.
HowdyCon? No. I mean, I've had a interesting relationship with Tony Ortega. He's another person I did interview. I did an interview with him when he was in the Village Voice about CST. If you ever want to go check it out, I get absolutely nothing from it for it other than my life has been exploited for other people's amusement. So look it up.
Okay, Village Voice. All right, that's good to know. I will.
And then all the videos, everything Tony Ortega has pretty much ever done with CST, I've been his source. I've given him all the labels of the bases. There's another guy that's I'm not going to mention his name, but he does a lot of behind the scenes, just data gathering stuff. He's a never in.
Right.
And he's done a lot of but I've given him a lot of names to go look up and kind of thing. And not so too, it's sort of a weird backwards, like Tony, he's a journalist. If you want to know what Tony thinks about Scientology, he did an interview with Mike Rowe. And also Mike Rinder did a video with Mike Rowe, both worth watching. But the Tony Ortega one, he basically was like, hey, I was bored. It was a slow news week. I was looking for something juicy and found me some Scientology, and the rest is history. Now he's been doing it nonstop every day so he's a journalist. He showed most exes why they're afraid of being why they're afraid of journalists. He kind of confirmed that they're kind of shady. If you have a conversation like we're having right now, it might appear in his blog tomorrow. And he might not tell you. It might just show up. Weird. And you'd be like, wow, I just thought we were having a conversation. Oh, but you think we're all stupid for having fallen for that. So
no, I don't think I don't agree with that on Tony. But to me, he's been really.
I'm just telling you that's my personal experience. So
no, I know.
I don't know what yours is, but
he did my first interview and I freaked out because of it was early on and I wasn't talking about my son. And I was worried that my son would find out about it, and I didn't. So I'd call him up and I'd say, "Forget it, just forget it. Don't post it." Right. And then Scientology would do some shit on me, and I'd call him up and say, "All right, post it." And this went back and forth for about 2 months, and he honored it every time. Every time I said no, he wouldn't do it.
Well, and it's nice to know that he's selective then.
Whatever. Anyway, he was very helpful to me. And he finally posted. Finally, I got mad enough. I said, all right, post it. And he did. And that was on the New Times LA. Now, there's a question for you. Are either of you, oh yeah, that was the one on HowdyCon. Wait, a voice down under says, I wish I could do more and could communicate better. You do fine. I try to see all sides. I'm always open and honest, and I still get shit for it. Things shouldn't be like this. What can be done to improve things? That's to you, Dylan.
I would say rise above. Like if you're tired of wallowing around in the mud with pigs, take yourself out of it. Like if That's the same. This isn't going to change. What motivation do half these people that are the leaders or whatever of their own little group have to change? They put things behind hidden walls and make like $7,000 to $10,000 personally, and they're going to keep doing it. So the more we try to do that, like it's not like give up. It's just like do you first. Come back either stronger or with another plan. But the most important thing is you. Take care of you, and if it
Yeah,
feels
take care of
unsafe,
you.
step
I
away.
agree.
And not
But
this touch grass thing. I mean, I get it, but like do yourself a favor and stay away until you can like either figure out ways to deal with it, or I mean, I don't know if there's an immunity. It's like what Maya Angelou says, right? Dark, negative energy. It gets everywhere. You let it into your house, and next thing you know, it's all over the fucking place. And it doesn't just come out. So if you see somebody and they're acting a certain way, believe them. Somebody shows you who they are, believe it. I want to
but the
change
other
people
thing is,
too. I do. I want them to be
I
better.
do think having lived through 25 years of people saying shit about me and attacking me and stuff like that, my policy is just figure out what you want to do and do that. And the rest of it, it just doesn't really matter. And it's like if you go off in the weeds and read all the shit that people are saying, don't be surprised you're going to be upset.
Right.
But if you just continue doing what you want to do and the rest of it, fuck it, you'll be fine. Because I think she does a great job of what she does.
Absolutely. I mean,
So,
and don't react. Take it like it's hard. It's easy to say when you're getting attacked. It's hard because you're putting your best energy and everything for, and even maybe acting the way that you would want others to treat you. And when you get shit on, it's not fun or easy. That's why I'm like, it it's not, it's worth it to a point because I don't want to see somebody else get stepped on either. But it's and also you don't have to know the exact route. Pick the direction towards light and go that way, and pretty soon it'll start illuminating.
yeah, I
Just
think that's right.
see the dark and don't go that way
Yeah,
because
don't go
that's
that
harder
way.
to get out. So,
Hmm.
like, and
And
then
and it
it'll
can be the darkness can be very much of a trap. So you
right.
just have to know, don't get in the trap. Go the other way, like you said, go towards the light.
Yeah, I know, T. It's hard. It's hard not to react sometimes. I totally
It
feel
is.
you on that. It's hard. Is there any other pertinent? Because I have a company to run and stuff, so
Okay,
I have to
okay.
get that.
Clara Judge just says thank you for sharing your perspective, Dylan. It's valuable and offers a lot of additional insights into the complexities of the space like this, and I agree. And Luke Tate said, sending love and support, Dylan. I appreciate you and your take on the vulnerability you choose to share. You make the world a better place, which is true.
Thank you.
And Anna Casleas 5402 looks like she's sending
Yeah, she's
$20.
awesome.
Thank you. I love to go to sleep, but I will be watching this later tomorrow. All right. Much love, Tory and Dylan, for speaking plainly and speaking with integrity in this space. Ah, nice. And thank you, Dylan, for coming and being so honest. It's really good to. Always love having you. I do. I love having talking to you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that we were able to chat. And it's like I said, if anybody has any problems with what I said, you come find me. You have my phone number. Give me a call. Text me. I'm all about. I'll communicate with my worst enemies. Aaron, if you have a fucking problem with me, call me. Like I don't care. I'll talk to you. Any of you people, like if anybody has a problem, I'll talk to you. I'm down to sort. And if we can't resolve it, great. Then we know we agree to disagree and we move on. But this whole like bullshit and like innuendos and talking about people, like say it to my face or shut the fuck up. Like seriously. And
That's what I said to Scientology when they said I had an
right.
affair. I went to every org and said, "Okay, your church is saying I had an affair,
But
so
if
I
it's
want
not
to meet
true, fuck them.
I
Don't
want to
say
meet whoever I had an affair with. Bring them over."
right. That's true, right? No, for sure. But well, awesome,
Fantastic.
Tori. Good talking
Thank
to
you,
you.
Dylan. Thank you, Kelly, for everything.
Thanks,
That's
Kelly, for
everything.
keeping it all in line.
Yeah. All right, good.
But
Well, thank you, Dylan. Stay in touch and let
absolutely.
the
Yeah. I'm not going
let
anywhere. I'm just not going on doing this shit. So it's gonna be the
all
same
right.
tomorrow for me.
All right. All right. Well, have a good night.
All right.
That
We'll talk
is
to you
a
later.
wrap. All right.